All right, what up, and welcome back to Pnoid News. Man, listen, we're here in the rhetoric server with like a whole bunch of individuals actually watching, hanging out, chilling. It's a great place to be. We got Ad Hoc here. We got Steel Snake. We did have TK Mal, but he done disappeared. I don't know where he done rolled off to. Once he shows back up in the chat, we may end up, pulling him up as far as things is concerned. I'm going to tell you what, here's how this works. So, we broke down chapter 4 on my channel. We're actually recording this, We're going to put it up on my YouTube channel, Pnoid News. Links are all over the Discord as far as stuff's concerned. Or you can search on YouTube for Pnoid News, right? We got my boy Steel Snake. We got my boy Ad Hoc. We got Matt and got Neuro here, who I'll be honest with you, I'm not really sure who's owning the Discord and who runs the Discord or whatever it is. But I know that he's one of these head dudes in charge as far as stuff is really concerned. Ad Hoc is our narrator and our reader of a book that we're going through. It's Gray Mirror for Modern Day Princes. It's on the Substack from Curtis Yarvin, who's also known as Mencius Moldbug. Mencius Moldbug is the man who invented the red pill meme back in 2006, I think it was, before everybody stole it. Right?
Yeah, the ADL fucking stole it.
Yeah. Our most recent thing. You know what I'm saying? Right? Our most recent thing.
The leftist hellhole it always has.
Yo, listen, man. Look, I don't know if you watch my most recent video, Steel Snake. Legitimately, we done found some memes that individuals had no idea about. There was the red pill, then the purple pill and the blue pill. We all know about these. You know what I'm saying? The black pill. But then there was the siege pill. Right, there was
siege pill, iron pill. There was a dog pill. They threw in the fucking green pill, saying that what's this?
There was right-wing environmentalism.
Fascism, right?
I don't even know how that's right-wing. What up?
I don't understand it. I mean, that's a left-wing issue. Oh, the environment is decaying. The entire world is going up by 1 Celsius degree. Yeah, I'm American, so I don't even remember what the conversion for that even was.
This is such bullshit. The hottest year ever was 1936. I have a bunch of saved web pages somewhere on my computer chronicling how the fucking National Weather Service has been slowly lowering the numbers since 2006 of the temperature records in 1936. They're trying to skew the graph to suggest it's getting hotter. I promise it's not.
Oh, that sounds like a leftist tactic. Skew with the numbers so it supports your evidence. So instead of having instead of fitting your... hold on. How'd that go? Change the facts to fit your theory.
I literally know blacklisted climate scientists and farmers. According to them, they're like, it's getting colder if you haven't noticed. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of curious. They're like, we had a brief spike in the mid-2000s, but after that, it's actually been getting colder. And I'm like, oh,
I'll be honest with you. We're kind of not here for that, right? But legit, there's a lot of pills out there. But this dude here, who the book we're going to be reading, chapter 5 of, it's chapter 5, Curtis Yarvin. It's on his Substack. It's The Land of People and Its Dogs. This guy invented the red pill meme, right? And he actually came up with the term the cathedral. The cathedral is basically, for anybody who doesn't understand, it is the combination of academia and the media, because academia trains all the media individuals, and then it also trains all the managers that move into being inside of Fortune 500 companies, and it also trains all the people who end up as bureaucrats inside of the government, right? And that's important to understand, right? So when you're standing here and you're having these type of conversations, you have to understand it all starts with the media, or all starts with academia, and then it kind of branches down. That's why you never have Harvard, Yale, or Princeton, or Georgetown, or Cambridge. None of them ever disagree about anything, right? And the reason is because these individuals, you know what I'm saying, the bigger colleges write the curriculum for the smaller colleges, and so they're all kind of marching in lockstep, and they're training everybody the same way. And as they do, the entire country ends up moving to be more progressive. Now, Ad Hoc, TK Mal, you did get that PDF of TK Mal, right?
I did get it. I'm in front of it. I ran over it a few things, tried to sound out some of the more Latin and Spanish phrases, so I'm not stumbling. Probably still going to stumble a few times.
Well, let me stand here and tell you this, right? Because there's a couple of words that you're probably going to be stumbling over, right? So I'm gonna clear a couple of them up for you real quick, right? Because it's kind of important. Hang on, man. I'm standing here. Okay. We went through Lux Populi, Suprema Lex. I'm trying to stand here and find the actual words for the people, right? Because
Vox Populi, Vox Day.
Okay, all right. So here's the ones that you're gonna have to like really understand. All right, YEOMEN is yeoman. All right, it's actually a British
Yeoman.
term. If you listen to what's that?
Oh,
thing
yeoman.
called?
That's I think that's a seafarer's term or something, if I recall.
Well, it's a lower class term, right? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's from like if you ever listen, actually, you ever watch Sherlock Holmes?
YEOMEN.
Like if you watch the new
Yeoman.
Sherlock Holmes with what's his face, the guy who played Iron Man, I forget his name, whatever. Robert Downey Jr.
No, that's Robert Downey Jr. Are we sure you don't mean Benedict Cumberbatch?
No.
Really?
No,
Sherlock
he was
Holmes.
not. No, that he was not Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah,
He did play Stephen Hawking.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. played Sherlock Holmes in them two new movies or two newer movies.
Game of Shadows. I remember those. Yes.
Actually,
I was thinking of a whole different Sherlock series altogether. That's on me.
Well, there's a lady in there who talks, and she actually mentions the word yeoman. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because I read this, and then like I watched the movie, and I was like, "Holy shit!" Like that's an actual word, right? And then armigers.
Yeah, it's
right?
an actual word.
Yeah, I didn't know it.
What?
Right?
What?
But I'm just telling you how to pronounce it. Armigers, right?
Yeah.
Lasari.
Armigers.
Lasari.
Armigers.
Armigers.
Sorry.
Right. And Lasari.
Sorry.
And autochtons.
Autochtons?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not gonna hear a lot about the autochtons because they don't really exist, right? But like, these are just the words in here that's gonna be like, put in here like repeatedly. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you know, I mean, like, you know how that works, man. Like, you know, the Jones that are really important for this that you're going to have to know. Anything else will just correct as we go along. You know what I mean? So, with that being said, you know what I mean? Like, yo, man, you want to start reading and, you know what I mean, getting into this?
Okay, all right, yeah. Let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so, from the Gray Mirror, Chapter 5, The Land, Its People, and Their Dogs. An introductory manual for the political economy for the Nihilist Prince of Columbia. Who is the Nihilist Prince? You, of course. It might not be you, but why wouldn't it be? Well, yes, the conviction, of course. So, many founders of vast historic dynasties have boasted less than stellar driving records. It adds to the drama, the way girls like a bit of facial scarring. And if it isn't you, well, whoever it is will read this anyway. It's not important how you got the job. Perhaps you were elected not as prince, but as president. Again, so what? The presidency was always a thinly disguised monarchy. Most of the time, it's mainly a costume monarchy, like Elizabeth II. But about every 3/4 of a century, regular as Halley's Comet or the San Andreas, it isn't. The White House remains cooler than the crown, both because the job is awarded by vote in a nationwide game show, a method which is completely demented if you think about it. If plays were history's first movies, elections were history's first game shows. And because the living remembers a president who was a real monarch like Elizabeth I, and the same cycle is now ready to repeat for the 4th time in U.S. history. In the 1780s, the USG was founded by a prince. In the 1860s, and again in the 1930s, it was refounded by a prince. Now its work is done, and it must be replaced by a prince. This prince, like the others, will be elected president. He might be the last, though. Prince in the sense of Latin principus, or of Machiavelli's little book, a national CEO, who governs unilaterally and is responsible only to a board of directors. That CEO is you. Your board is the voters. Their next meeting is in 4 years. Good luck. For the next 4 years, you'll have the authority of Henry VIII, Augustus, or Louis XIV. In 4 years, you will hold another election. You'll ask your subjects whether they want the old staff and the old system back. If so, wherever on God's green earth these people have wandered, you will find the previous personnel, reseat them in whatever remains of their swivel chairs, and wish them all the best and hop on a plane to Paraguay. If you have much a chance of losing this election, maybe you weren't much of a prince. Such was roughly the position of FDR, Lincoln, and Washington. Now the Gyrie comes around again, and with you, behind the same old oak desk, good thing you have this book! The United States seems to take its next prince once it is finished forgetting the last. Also, FDR and Lincoln had to maintain symbolic regime continuity. This is probably not even an option for you. As president, you may have to be more of a Washington. Ever heard of the Articles of Confederation? What about the Constitution? History is never predictable, yet every thread in it is finite. Each finite thread is never the last. It is always followed by another. Always of some different, unexpected fiber. Maybe the next thread won't even be into ancient and holy pieces of paper at all. Is this
What the hell was that?
scenario realistic? Depends on whether the American people want it to happen. If they do, it is. Type alter or abolish into your search bar. Would Americans rather be Colombians? If so, they have the right to be Colombians. If so, I'm sure a prince will come along. Whether or not that prince or princess is you. Just kidding. I'm not proposing this, of course. I adore.
Hold up. All right, so like understand it. Like this book is about absolute public policy and really giving the opportunity for Americans to have a chance to see something other than what we have right now. Because like, why is it
jumping
like,
the gun there, Tom?
I know, right? But like, legitimately, like, I'm trying to like stand here and explain this to the new audience that's kind of like in here, like sitting around, like, what is this, right? It's really simple. Like, so if you look at the system and go, like, it's not able to really be reformed. You know what I mean? You go like, there's too many parasites that are dug in like ticks. Right, in the end of the day. So with that being said, if you go, well, maybe there's a better system as a whole, we can just stand here and change it completely. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it is. Like, hey, look, let's look at other systems, older systems, different systems in general, and get individuals thinking about, hey, maybe we can just straight switch it all together and not have to stand here and actually, you know what I mean, how do I put this? Try to reform this. You know what I mean? Like, maybe reform isn't the answer. Maybe the answer is to stand here and, you know, like really just change it completely. Like, vote to go, hey, look, man, we want a king. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something along these type of lines. I'm not an absolute monarchist, you know what I'm saying? But like, a lot of these policies in here are kind of just common sense things. And so with that being said, like, I just wanted, you know what I mean, put that out there. So let's keep rocking though.
All right. So, just kidding. I'm not proposing this, of course. I adore our holy and ancient Constitution. Rather, this design for a clean state regime change is just what Einstein called a Gedanken experiment. The philosophical point of the thought experiment is to explore absolute public policy. Regular public policy is relative public policy. It asks how our concrete government should change what it is doing, weighed by the difficulty of achieving that change. Absolute public policy is not weighed against political difficulty. Absolute policy asks what an arbitrary, abstract, and optimal government should do, assuming zero difficulty. As Stalin said, quantity has a quality all its own. A microscope and a telescope are not more different than relative and absolute policy. Indeed, most of today's public policy is only by academic convention within the realm of the possible. That realm is not the realm of academia, but lobbying and activism. None of the three even start to tell you what you would do if you held Stalin's powers today, but wanted to use them for good. And why would you want to know that? Well, why would you not want to know that? Politics is the art of the possible. So, absolute policy is not directly relevant. However, the perspective it provides may help policymakers in forming relative public policy. The easiest way to think about government absolutely and abstractly, yet realistically, is to define the most realistic possible path and the simplest possible absolute regime. This path is inherently unlikely, but it must be as possible, yet it may be, and probably still is, still impossible by all reasonable standards. Now, back in character. The position of the nihilist prince. People focus on which faction the prince comes from. If it matters, you are no prince. The prince's color is gray, not red or blue, transcending monkey politics. Side eyes Tom over there. Nor are you afraid of conflict. You laugh at it. Your views are ruthless, impartial, and utterly cynical. Your default opinion is that each side is normally right about the other. The normal basis for a sound peace is a mutual humility and historical observation. And the normal line of a sound peace is the line of truce, status quo, or ut possidetis. I know I practiced that one. Possidetis. Good enough.
I think you're good.
And while not everything is normal, you always start out expecting it to be normal. Like George Washington himself, the powder-wigged ramrod with the wooden teeth, you are a general of no faction. You are a nihilist. You think ex nihilo, you see ex nihilo, you build ex nihilo. From nothing, from scratch, on a clean slate from first principles. The old conflicts were structural consequences of the old regime and vanish with it. Yet, You inherit not just the land and the people, but the regime as it is. By the metaphor of this text, that regime is instantly and utterly deposed from power in favor of you. Of course, in real life, this will not be this easy, but it should be as close as possible. In any case, the immense carcass is everywhere. In some cases, its organs can even be reused. But an ancient regime can neither remain alive by default nor lie around to rot in peace. I think it was missing a T from this ancient regime, like I just said, but, it's missing a T, so it's ancient regime. Nihilism does not mean you have to liquidate every agency, company, or nonprofit, or flatten every soulless, inhumane 20th century skyscraper. Nihilism just means you can. And when in doubt, you should. But let the people out first. They're your people now. Brand, territory, and scope.
All right, this is kind of an important part of this too. Like, you got to remember that, like, all of this is going to be from a peaceful aspect, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is why I really enjoy this as far as stuff's concerned, right? Because it's, it isn't looking like, oh man, we're just going to like stand here and like execute individuals or anything along these type of lines. It's more along the lines like, we're going to look at this as, well, we're going to love everybody. And go like, hey, look, like we're the father of all these individuals as being king. And Dot, what up, man? You're like, oh, you raise your hand. What, you got something to say?
Yeah. I like.
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right,
Close
good
enough.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I think we were looking at the early chapter 4, and he said that this was meant. It was something you had me read earlier, Tom. We were talking about this, and it was like, how do we do this bloodlessly? And this is assuming a thought experiment. It's basically saying the transition of power goes smoothly. What do we do next as the prince? And I think this is where we're coming from. So.
Yeah, I feel you. Every once in a while, we're gonna have people popping in and out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, because like how the Discord one works is individuals raise their hand. Then like they go, hey man, like I got a question to ask. We invite them in. They ask their question, and then like they get up. They have something to say. That's cool. If not, if they just want to stand there and like play music or troll, I'm with you. I love trolls. Like, I love trolls. Like, I make trolls. Like, in my Discord, trolls are the mods. Right?
I have no idea why Tom gave me this power.
They make it light and hearted and add a little bit of entertainment.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Harry?
Or they add a whole lot of a pain in the ass, one or the other.
Oh, hey, man, look.
It's either really funny or really not funny.
I feel you. But you got to give every troll a chance.
It's either one or the other.
You got to give every troll a chance, because you never know when like a good one's gonna pop by. You know what I mean? Like, legit. There's a dude.
That was a decent one. Just comes up there. Reese's Puffs. That's my fucking jam.
Yo. There's a dude. There's a
Very
dude
nostalgic.
In here. There's a dude in here named Kissa, right? Who acts like a homosexual and tells like Christians that he loves them, right? It's like the best troll I've ever seen. It's amazing.
Oh, dude, we should get him in here just so I can.
He's here. Hold up. He's here. Hold up.
Nice.
Hold up. We're gonna say what up. Yo, Kissa, what up, man? Kissa.
Oh, I can't believe I shot that guy.
Yo, Kissa, you gonna speak, man?
Speak, boy, and be heard.
I think
Yes,
people are muting him out. I think people are muting him out. Yo, it's all right. Right. But anyway, right. So, yeah, we're gonna, we're gonna keep rocking and shit. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going and handle our business. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, let's keep
all right. So moving on, brand, territory, and scope. Because the land, the people, and the regime are often so metamized, it seems only proper, when rebooting the third, to rebrand the first. One name is ancient, honorable, and known to all, despite some mild confusion with a certain country down south. Our pals down there have a solid brand, but maybe they can be compensated for changing it. Such is your post as the new nihilist Prince of Columbia. You inherit it from the USG, its assets and liabilities, its continental territories and the people on them. To simplify the thought experiment, and within it, to provide interesting side tests, you release all lands acquired since the Gadsden Purchase of 1853, granting unilateral independence to the state and territorial governments, abandoning even foreign bases and embassies, and repatriating everybody abroad on USG papers, whether tourists, expats, or soldiers. The USG was never famed for the quality of its paperwork. Any beast on Colombian soil that has 2 legs and is not a bird is a tourist or a Colombian. If it is a tourist, it goes home. If it is a Colombian, it is a subject of Colombia. If it has 4 legs and is a dog, it is some Colombian's dog.
Sorry, didn't mean to do that.
At some point, the border may open for some kinds of travel. For now, not even a dog will cross it. Bright lines make simple, strong experiments. The absolute governance of contiguous, isolated Colombia, defined by pulling a Gorbachev.
Gorbachev, man. You know, remember the dude from Russia, man, the leader of Russia?
Oh, right, yeah. Gorbachev, okay. And shrugging off
Is that Mikhail Gorbachev? I think that was.
Gorbachev.
Yeah, he was like the president, I think, after as the USSR fell.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And shrugging off a far-flung global empire to chillax into its new historical role as a normal and normally shaped country. While it may not be the exact problem that future America has called upon you to solve, makes the best and clearest lesson plan for me to write today. Every day is day one. It isn't really. But if day one is actually day one, as a newborn prince, what do you need to focus on? You have all the problems in the world, but which is the most serious? The most serious problem of any regime is in one and two areas: security or economics. If your regime begins with a serious security problem, nothing is more important. If not, economics is more important. Let's quickly assess which of these two problems on an absolute scale by painting quick pictures of states under which they are solved and unsolved. The security of Colombia. When security is solved, every person's person, property, and reputation are all safe from all aggressions, individual or collective. Abroad, the nation's rights are respected, and it respects the rights of other nations. I think I know some serious critics of the U.S. to say that ain't right.
We're gonna get into that.
Yeah. So, continuing. No hostile armies menace its borders. No barbarian tribe camps and feasts in its fields. Bandits do not infest its mountains, nor beggars in its streets, nor burglars in its nights. A virgin with a sack of gold, bragged Genghis Khan, could stroll from one end of Asia to the other. Say what you want about Genghis Khan, security is an ethos. When you need it, there is nothing you need more. While a virgin may not make it to the Caldot Tunnel, is security really Colombia's biggest problem? Considering Colombia as if delivered today, we see few big security issues. From the USG, it inherits a complex and historical structure of foreign relationships for which it has no real need. No major power can molest it, or even shares a hemisphere with it. Domestically, there are areas of serious insecurity and informal organized violence, mostly in some parts of older cities, but they are localized and not difficult to avoid. Solving Colombia's economic problems will resolve these domestic security issues. Externally, it can disband its empire in favor of a classically neutral foreign policy.
All right, yeah, look, we read a whole bunch. Let's break some of this down for the moment, right? So, the mentality is that the U.S. I don't know who said it, but I'll quote it. They said the U.S. is very lucky because it has a weak southern neighbor, a friendly northern neighbor, and to its east and west are fish, right? So there's no way that anybody could ever really try us out as far as a land invasion is really concerned. No one in the world has the ability to land troops on our continent. Right. And Mexico, regardless of whether or not it has 160 million people there, right? The majority, they don't have any type of military, and our military is ridiculous. And we protect, Mexico, and it's actually one of our largest trading partners. So we really don't have security problems per se. We have problems of where we decided that we're going to provide security for the world, and we oftentimes can't really, we bit off more than we can chew through the Bretton Woods Agreement as far as stuff's really is concerned. And that's kind of the mentality as far as where we are today. That's why it's why we were in Afghanistan. That's why we were in Iraq. That's why we were in Libya and Syria and Sudan, and why we deal with Iran. It's because none of these countries really have anything to do with us, at least not anymore, due to the fact that we're energy independent. We produce. We are energy independent. Because when you talk about us, you're also talking about Canada and Mexico as well. Right. So when you're talking about the continent of North America, we're energy independent. We don't need to import oil from Saudi Arabia. We just straight don't need to anymore. We don't need the Middle East. And if you add Venezuela in, once they get their shit together, we're really good. and our oil is actually of a better quality than theirs. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of the mentality. Like most of our bullshit is shit of our own making. You know what I mean? And that's kind of really where we are. Well, we got somebody who wants to come in and say something. You know, what do you know what I'm saying? You want to pop in? What do you want, man? What you got? What you got to say?
What's up? I wasn't listening for very long. All I heard was like talking about the Middle East, Venezuela, oil.
Go ahead.
So what was your like? Honestly, I did not expect you to bring me up here so quickly.
Hey, I apologize. Like when I'm speaking to you, you know what I mean? Like when I'm paused on the book and I'm not like looking at the you know the OBS or whatever. Like I have it open. So it's like when somebody asks, like, oh, wow, you're right there. But yeah. So the Middle East is kind of on that mentality of where we're providing security for the world's trade just due to the Bretton Woods Agreement, where like we basically said, look, we'll provide the world with, you know what I'm saying, like transportation security for all of your economic needs, right? Whether it be oil, whether it be coal, whatever it is, or, you know, steel, doesn't matter, spices. We will make sure that you can float the open oceans for free, right? As long as like, yo, you stay in here and you fight the USSR. And this happened like during the Cold War. Actually, it's happened like right after World War II. And we stood here and continued this after George Bush Sr., you know what I mean? Like, because we never ended up redoing our foreign policy to have something that like really mattered to us. Like as far as the U.S. is concerned, we are actually the lowest involved country when it comes to trade of any country in the world, like when it comes to a percentage of our GDP. Like the only other country that's even comes close to us, I think, is Burkina Faso, right? And like, so we don't need the rest of the world, like due to the fact that like we trade among ourselves and we have the largest consumer group inside of the, you know, in the United States. We have the largest river system in the world. Like we have more navigable waterways inside of the continental United States than the rest of the world has combined. So like, we really don't need the rest of the world. We're naturally, you know what I'm saying, like independent and have the ability to do shit for ourselves. So when we're going overseas, we're doing it for other people, for shit that happened back after World War II that doesn't exist anymore. And that's why we're overseas in the Middle East.
Part of what I've touched on in my video, Screaming into the Void, talking about Afghanistan. I kind of led into that one. That video still isn't doing all that well. My more popular stuff is the Ruby stuff. I don't know why that exploded.
So, Saper, what up, man?
I know this may be irrelevant, but I think America needs more like a cultural change in the sense there should be more community for Americans that share the same ideas.
Completely agree.
Ideals.
Completely agree.
You are not wrong.
Yo, like we're gonna get into that later on.
I don't know if you guys are, like, have anything against Christianity, is that? But I feel like the churches are a good ground for community within neighborhoods and local.
Agreed. Yeah. Again, we're like this book is like this chapter is actually going to lead into all of that. Right. Like we're like,
okay, that's good.
Yeah. The center of the community should be the church. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you know, like it doesn't have to be that way, but like the problem is that we're trying to turn everybody into cosmopolitan New Yorkers and San Franciscan people in LA, people from LA. Right.
Yeah, that particular mentality, I think, really stems more from the whole people taking the separation of church and state to the extreme. It's like the church shouldn't be in charge of the state, but you shouldn't cast it out of your society and culture entirely.
Well, it's part of that. It's part of that, right? A lot of it is the fact that, like, you know, if they want to be able to sell you goods and you have your own culture, it's going to be very difficult for them. That's kind of the mentality.
Listen, that's why. That's why I did. Let me tell you why I disagree with that.
Go ahead.
Religion and state should never be combined, and I don't think church is a great place for people to talk about politics. I think it's a place of religion, you know what I mean? And not a lot of people, people don't agree like on politics, you know what I mean? Like, how are you going to have someone that is trying to talk, you know, about politics go to a church or something like that and try to agree? They probably don't even agree on religion.
People
There's so
power.
many different religions in America and shit like that they can't.
Well, here's the mentality. You know, here's the mentality. Here's the problem that you're having right at the moment. The issue is that so if you can't have one religion ruling over the entire country, right? That's the issue, right? But if you live in a small community where like everybody's the same, right? You know, like say like Little Italy and like, you know, what I mean, any of the East Coast areas, right? They're all going to be Catholics, right? And you can have a Catholic church at the center of their community, and that's fine, right? Or if you have some Protestant town out west and everybody's a Protestant, a church can be the center of their community there, right? And that's fine. But the problem is like you can't have like the Protestant church rule over Catholics, Baptists, Muslims, you know what I mean, all the individuals all at the same time. Yeah.
That never ends well.
That's the issue that you're having right now. See, we're not going to stand here and look at this from, you know what I mean, a nationalized scale. It's going to be broken up. Right,
Like
where
you and me, Zooted, we're on the same wavelength. We don't think the church should be in charge of the state, and the two should be kept separate. But in regards to the local community, where everybody knows everybody, small town USA, why shouldn't a church be an important part of that?
Yeah, because like
See, it very well could be.
Go ahead.
But there's also a lot of communities that don't have that luxury of everyone's on the same page, everyone's in the same religion. Okay?
Well, like
because there's a lot of other things.
Nowhere that's a small town doesn't have a large religious population.
I just want to say that a cathedral looks a lot better than a corporate McDonald's building.
Well, the problem is McDonald's is part of the cathedral is the issue.
I think he's just talking talking architecture, Tom. Just architecture.
Got you. Yeah. Like, yo, this dude.
I really admire the British for their architecture and Europe.
I just have a quick question. Tom, do you have mod ability here?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay. So you're able to bring people up, take people down, do everything you need to do.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to bring people down. Like, I don't.
Okay, so you click on their like you would click. Try it with me. Click on me and then put bring to audience or remove.
I don't have that. Right. I don't.
Right click. Maybe right click.
Try it on Sapir Odd, and then I'll bring Sapir Odd right back. You could just go ahead and request to come back up, and all.
Yeah, it doesn't. I don't have that.
Yeah, right click on them or something.
Yeah, right click. It brings up user volume, mute, disable all video, invite the server, add friend, block, disconnect, kick, ban, roles, move to copy ID.
Don't right click.
There.
Click.
Should be at the very top. Let me see if I can adjust it for a moment.
All right, that's cool. Do what you gotta do. But anyway, yeah, like this dude actually came up with a meme called the Cathedral, right? And basically, the Cathedral is the combination of college or academia and the media, right? So basically, academia is the brain outside of the government. It's like the Ministry of Truth for the U.S., and the media is their mouthpiece. Right. And like, so academia trains everybody in the media and everybody in the government. And then most of the individuals who go into the corporate structure as managers. Right. And so it's literally called the Cathedral. Right. That's why I kind of got like fucked up when you said the Cathedral looks better than McDonald's.
Yeah, no, he was talking about architecture.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah. I feel where you are. But Zooted Zane, like, there are no small towns that don't have a religious aspect to them. Because every time hard times hit, almost every food bank is a church in your local area.
I don't know.
I mean, most of them.
You know,
is there anyone here who's actually been in a homeless shelter or taken food from a food bank? I've done both.
Yeah.
They're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Like, I never got the church vibe from the food bank. It was always fill out this piece of. It felt very federal government-ish. Honestly.
Well, it depends on where you're going, because if we're talking about the church itself, they're going to be having those things near the church building into and of itself. But if we're talking about an actual food bank, yeah, it's going to be more corporate, federal governmentized, because that's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so
anyway.
You have full moderator. I'm not sure why you're not able to bring people up or remove them. But what you could do then is just ask me. I'll stay up here and I'll bring people up as you want, and then remove.
I can bring people in, right? Like the request to speak joint is, you know what I'm saying, like a normal thing or whatever, right? Like I have that one there, right? But you know what I'm saying.
All right, and for the audience, I just want to say quickly, when you're done conversing with Tom or any of his friends up here, you could just go ahead and remove yourself, guys. If you're not part of the server yet, and if you're listening, please join the server Rhetoric. And Tom, if you want to tell them about your YouTube page, and then I'll let you guys continue.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to put this up. Actually, this whole thing is being recorded. Right now, I got it recording on OBS, and we're going to put this up on Pnoid News on YouTube later, right? So anybody wants to hear how you did, or, you know what I'm saying, like you want to, like, stand here and check out, like, the full context of this, you can check it out later on YouTube on Pnoid News. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be awesome. And it is what it is. We're going to start trying. I think we're going to try and do this like every week because we got like 37 people here. I mean, 6 people up here.
37 in the audience.
Yeah, 37 individuals in the audience. I think, this is a pretty successful type of thing as far as stuff's concerned. I know like Neuro wants to go, about 5,000 people watching. But like, man, like that's not bad for, a Sunday night, 37 people coming out and hanging out. We got some of the fam out here and shit. Oh, Gaming and Yelling's out there, man. Quinn, QQ's out here, man. Listen, like, the fam, my boy. Yeah, man, like, the fam's out here too. Like, hell yeah, how y'all doing? My people's out here. Love these motherfuckers. Like, real shit, right? What's his name? The dude, the Viking dude from, I forget his, man, listen, Shroomhead. Love you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? We're getting it done. Anyway, ad hoc. Actually, Hans Smith haven't had a chance to speak. Hans, what up, dude? You want to say some shit?
Watching Wallace and Gromit. You?
Well,
nice.
Wallace and Gromit, like, that was cool when I was
that was a good show. I watched that show a lot.
Yeah. I'm on a close shave now. I've gone through a grand day out and the wrong trousers.
The one where they went to the moon and it was made of cheese. That one was pretty funny.
That was great.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Yeah, I never really got into that, but I was too old. Like, once I saw that claymation stuff. Gary Smith, what up, man? Welcome.
It was my birthday today, so I'm just watching.
Happy birthday, man!
Happy birthday!
How old are you?
Thanks.
How old are you?
Birthday.
14.
Congratulations,
14.
my brother. Congratulations, it was a big year.
He is hitting that age where he is starting to develop his own independent tastes.
Yeah, it's a nice time to be. Like, make sure, like, as you grow up, like, read. It's important to read. Like,
yes, read.
Like, the hell with education.
Read or the owl will eat you.
Read in general. Gary Smith, man, what up? Gary. All right, man. All right. This is what it is. All right, so we're going to keep rocking and rolling. Zuda Zane, you got anything else to say, my brother?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's crazy about how everything that happened with fucking Afghanistan and how we were there for 20 years and then it's like just crazy how shit worked out with all different presidents when it comes to the overseas fighting like that. Longest war in United States history. And it doesn't seem like we really accomplished much.
Here's the secret. No. There was no one in charge, man. There was like literally no one in charge. Like I read the Afghanistan papers. If you haven't done it, you probably should from the Washington Post. They had a bunch of interviews with everybody who was involved with that war, and not one of them had a single like solidified plan. Not one.
There wasn't a plan at all. I've talked to some of the other veterans. I was even prepping to go out there before I got discharged. Nobody had any idea what the mission even was, and that's a big problem because if they're just sitting around without the mission, they're just going to mill around not understanding what they're going to do. And as I explained in my video, to paraphrase a wise Jedi master, we're soldiers, not keepers of the peace.
Yeah, I feel you. Right.
True.
We went in there with the police mentality. We didn't go in there with the soldier mentality, and that's why we stood there for 20 years and finally got our asses kicked.
Yeah, tends to be how it works. But anyway, look, we're gonna keep rocking. So ad hoc, let's keep going, my brother.
All right, let's rock and roll. So, the economy of Colombia. Economic problems are all problems that aren't security problems. Social problems, cultural problems, even intellectual problems are all inseparable for commerce, production, and even finance. Economics is about everything that everyone does all day and the reasons they do it. When economics is solved, everyone has work that fits their talents and pays for a reasonably comfortable life. Most people feel secure. They find satisfying, stable professions. They fit well into a community that fits well into a civilization. They are taught and embrace values and ideas that guide them well for their whole lives. In this reality, the streets of Colombia are full of happy, busy, and well-dressed people, working hard and living life fully. The business of Colombia is humming. Her trade is in the black. Her budget is balanced. Her debt is not a sinkhole. Her equity is a bubble. Her currency a juggle. Her housing an ATM. Her commerce is not devoured by monopolies. Her farms by banks. Her industries by imports. We see that things are not going well in the econ department. This makes sense, as a country without serious security or economic problems needs no regime change at all. If Colombia's real problems are economic, its next prince will need a new economics. Extending economics. Indeed, these outcomes would seem adequate to justify a nihilist reconstruction of the field that is now macroeconomics and was once political economy. And if your redesign yields the same design, try it again. What you're looking at is so gnarly that you need not ask whether the 20th century did anything wrong, but what it did wrong, and why. Most bad economic theories are not wrong, per se. They are bounded. They are useful and valid within a certain envelope, like Newtonian physics. Outside this envelope, like Newtonian physics, they are wrong, and their results are just ridiculous. We cannot disprove 20th century economics or 19th century economics or liberal economics as a whole. Given their own axioms, they are perfectly self-consistent. Our problem is not to refute the logic of the old regime's economics, but to extend it, as Einstein saw, that a geometry in which parallel lines diverge, through an apparently nonsensical axiom, and could help us make reality make sense. The nonsensical axiom of any sensible 21st century economics will be intentional disutility, or artificial difficulty, in which power, intentionally and for good reasons, makes the production of goods and services more challenging. As Bastiat would put it, the government goes around breaking windows. Liberal economics, as developed in the 19th and 20th centuries, which includes all commonly held Western economics theories today, from socialist to libertarian, is Anglo-American economics and cannot be separated from its political and social roots in the London gentry, of which even Karl Marx was an adopted member. Ooh, shot fired! These roots are in all cases utilitarian. We can see this by the universal use of statistics that aggregate economic utility across the population, like GDP. Hardcore Austrian economists deny that utility can be measured and aggregated.
Economist.
Economicist. I'm even tripping up over words.
Economicist. It's the economicist.
He's got me tongue twisting so hard.
The economy, man. It's the economy.
Economy. But continue to believe that the satisfaction of consumer preferences is the sole purpose of economic activity. Capitalists and communists agree that the production of utilities must be maximized. They differ only on its subsequent distribution. Pre-liberal economics, political economy, frequently operated outside of the utilitarian envelope, but without a single clear theory of why. For example, mercantilism works by making the service of importing goods more difficult. Mercantilist economies exist in the world today and seem to do better at passing our success metrics. But why? Can we even imagine a unified theory of disutilitarian economics? Diseconomics? 19th century physicists realized that their equations predicted that any black object would instantly radiate away all energy at high frequency. Fortunately, this ultraviolet catastrophe did not actually seem to happen. But this was obviously unreasonable. 20th century economists wrestled with the resource curse, in which positive resources such as oil, la mierda del diablo, as one Venezuelan put it, produced negative economic results, as if a sign flipped in the GDP formula. This too was obviously unreasonable. In the 21st century, the curse is more and more relevant since technology is a resource. Oil lets 6 people stick a pipe in the ground and light up all of Venezuela. Tech lets 6 people write a messaging app and connect all of Venezuela. If there are still more than 12 people in Venezuela, now no one needs the rest of them. Good times! Today's resource curse is on track to turn into tomorrow's resource catastrophe. The technical revolution and its consequences have only just begun. Your task is not to defeat technology, but to tame and harness it, so that it is humanity's servant, not humanity's master. Has any prince been offered such a test? Accounting for people. In the last chapter, we explained the difference between the literal economic axiom of luxus populi suprema lex, public luxury is the supreme law, not to be confused with lexus populi suprema lex, in which everyone must drive a Lexus, and the illiberal economic axiom of salus populi suprema lex, the public being is the supreme law. While the case for salus populi seems strong, one advantage of luxus populi is its fertility as a quantitative tool. Maximizing Quantitative.
There you go, my brother.
Maximizing production of comfort and joy is highly measurable. It makes It makes accounting sense. It's easy to think about. This makes utilitarian economics remarkably amenable to an oligarchical, process-driven form of government. But even as a monarch, how can you think quantitatively about the human condition of a population? Can you even model that? Can you make it make any real accounting sense? As it turns out, you can. You might not like how. Perhaps the most significant difference between liberal and illiberal economics is an accounting difference. To liberal economics, a government is a service provider. Its citizens are its customers. As customers, they are kings. By definition, the purpose of customer service is to satisfy the customer's desires. Hence, luxus populi suprema lex. To illiberal economics, a government is a sovereign enterprise. The tangible capital of this enterprise is the land and its people. Its subjects are its assets. Their proprietor's purpose is to preserve and improve this human capital. Hence, salus populi suprema lex.
Wait. Let's break that. Salus populi suprema lex is the well-being.
The health of the people is supreme law.
Yeah, the well-being or the health or welfare of the people is the supreme law. That's what's most important. Like, what makes your individuals in your country actually stand here and have the opportunity, or like makes your people better as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, are they living better? You know what I mean? Are they doing better? Are they happier? Are they healthier as a whole? You know what I mean? Because I feel like our economy right now and how we run it and the individuals in it, you know what I'm saying, aren't doing real well health-wise. You know what I mean? Something like a third of the entire population.
The human soul?
Yeah, a third of the entire population is, you know what I'm saying, actually, how do I put this? A third of the population has like diabetes. That might not be like, you know what I'm saying, a good thing. You know what I mean? The amount of individuals catching cancer from like the amount of shit that we're putting in the air, the horrible food that we're putting into our fucking kids. You know what I'm saying? The hormones in our fucking food that we put in our kids and make them develop early and shit. Or, you know what I mean, our men, you know what I mean, turn into females. Like, you know, it's not positive. Like, all these things are not good for us as a whole. And so like, I feel like, you know,
he's not lying. Like, the amount of estrogenic compounds in the water is doing some terrible things. I don't even drink tap water anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad things that we have going on. You know what I mean? But it allows you to have the ability to feed 350 million people industrially. You know what I mean? Which is a fucking, it's a difficult task.
It could be done without turning us all gay.
Well, I don't think it could be. You know what I mean? As far as I'm really concerned, I don't think it could be. You know what I mean? That's kind of my mentality. Right, hold up. We got somebody here who wants to speak. Step sis. Yo, what up? You know what I mean? Like, how you doing? What you got to say? There we go. Thank you, my brothers. Appreciate it, Neuro.
Very good.
Handling business, right? Yo, the mods here are like, yo, dude, I'll be real. They overreact to some things, but like, yo, they really get it done when the time comes as being. You know what I mean? It is what it is. So let's keep rocking and shit. All right?
All right. To an illiberal, a liberal government is a mismanaged enterprise that treats its valuable human capital like a rental car. You ever change the oil in a rental car? Have you, Tom? Have you?
No, I haven't.
To a liberal and illiberal government is a nationwide slave plantation that treats people as property. What else could human capital be a euphemism for? To an illiberal, liberal economics, by governing to maximize its GDP, commits the classic accounting error of managing the firm to maximize revenue. It is not the revenue that the managers of the firm must maximize. It is not even profit. It is capital value plus profit. Many a bad CEO has produced bogus earning reports funded by capital depreciation. To a liberal, illiberal economics, by failing to maximize GDP and by violating the NAP with arbitrary restrictions on commerce and technology, is stealing real value and thus money from the consumer.
The NAP is the non-aggression principle, and that was capital depreciation. Just want to put that out there.
Illiberal economics is essentially a form of organized crime. Did they make them a deal we can't refuse? The winners are politically connected and the losers are everyone, just like always. It is impossible to reconcile these equally compelling perspectives abstractly, nor is it worth doing so. You have to hold both in your head simultaneously, if only because the liberal perspective is totally ubiquitous and the illiberal perspective is utterly alien. You can assess any new economic idea both liberally and illiberally, and you should. Your monarchical regime is inherently illiberal and demands an illiberal accounting. The disutilitarian variable. Under illiberal accounting, it's easy to see the problem with luxus populi economics. Its math is just wrong. Its definition of productivity is missing a term: appreciation and depreciation of human capital. Since liberal economies cannot measure this variable and also refuse to believe in it, its value has become predictably abominable. Once we add human capital back into the formula, we easily see the need for artificial difficulty. Perhaps if we think of humans as robots, it is easier to explain the equation. Starting from the purest, driest autism, we can derive a moist and delicious humanism. Tasty. You know, I heard that human apparently tastes like pork somewhere. I've been curious.
Soylent Green, man. Soylent Green. Like, yo.
It's people! Soylent Green is people!
It's people!
These humans are very unusual robots. A normal robot deprecates with use. A human robot appreciates.
Depreciates.
Okay. Hey, appreciates. Sorry, it's my fucking IT.
It's all right, man. It's all right, man. You know what I mean? You over here, like, you are self-deprecating. You know what I mean? And I love that about you, you know?
And appreciates with use. Not equally for every use, and depreciates with disuse. If regular robots worked like this and you had 300 million of them, you would invent weird, noisy ways to keep your robots busy. Artificial difficulty. This is starting to sound like busy work, and I fucking hate busy work.
I feel you, right? But like, it's kind of the mentality of where, like, if human beings sit around all day long and not do shit, like, you know, that's how you end up with like broken fucking human beings. Yeah,
they're gonna rot.
Tends to be how it works.
I definitely know that work. Yeah. Like, if you don't sharpen the sword, it's going to grow dull. And a dull blade is of no use to anyone.
Yeah, like if you know what I'm saying, don't use a car, it exhausts just fucking ruts. Like, everything just rusts inside of it, and then it locks the fuck up and it's worthless. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Human robots are somewhat adaptable and can be reprogrammed, but updating their software is difficult and expensive. The best way to train these robots is by using them. Therefore, humans are often labeled by labor specialty as by genetics or linguistics. So managing a human population must mean managing the demand for human labor. While it can also mean managing the supply of human labor, or letting it self-manage, human retraining is anything but automatic or magical. And humans are highly variable in their physiology and neurology. Different units are sustainable for very different uses. A few units are even just lemons, useful for nothing. But you still have to maintain them for the lifetime of the unit. The others expect it. Interesting.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
I see eugenics in there.
Well, yeah, you can't just be like, you know what I'm saying, like throwing retards off the side of a cliff. You know what I mean? Like, like, you know what I mean? No, you can't, dude. Like, it's not possible.
I mean, you can. It's the Spartan way of doing it, but you're going to get everybody reeing about how you're violating human rights and everything.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, human beings, you know, we're nice. We're like, believe it or not, like, humans are actually really good people. And especially, I'm finding as I get older, I become a better person. Right? Like, yo, I'll be real. Like, I saw a bunny rabbit the other day, and it was like a little baby bunny rabbit, and it like literally hopped over top of my foot, and I unwillingly, I went, oh, like, yo, like when I was younger, I've been like, oh, that's food. You know what I mean? Now I'm just like, oh, that's cute. You know what I mean? Like, yo, we get nicer as we get older. It just tends to be how it works.
Lol. All right. To maximize the performance of your humans, therefore, you should train them for life against the useful tasks that suit them best. This problem is obviously more important than producing goods and services that generate only pleasure. A mere robot reward function that has no reason to figure out any reasonable illiberal accounting. You are amazing. Your operation is amazing. So your humans should be amazing. So the purpose of your economy is to challenge humans in ways that make them amazing. Different humans are amazing in different ways and must be challenged differently. The shape of your economy is the shape of the challenges your subjects must face. This difficulty landscape is the sculptor that must shape them into amazing humans that they were all born to be. In a silicon century, some of these challenges will still be natural and inevitable, but others will have to be synthetic and industrial. Nearda said, give me struggle, iron.
Intentional. It'll have to be synthetic and intentional.
intentional. Meredith said, "Give me struggle, iron, volcanoes. Men can make 2 of these." These platitudes are not exciting. It is more exciting, though, to see them emerge from an autistic, ruthless, and objective logic of sovereign accounting. It is easy to ask for a new human-centric economics. Catholic distributists. Yeah, is it Catholic?
Distributists.
Yeah, Catholic distributists were asking for a century ago. It is harder to make the math work, or even just the logic. For example, one 20th century college legend features an economist, usually Milton Friedman, who visits China and sees an underpass being dug with a pick and a shovel. "Why not bulldozers?" he asks. "Because these people need work," his guide replies. "In that case," responds our apocryphal economist, "why not give them spoons?" The answer lies in the missing variable: appreciation of human capital. While manual earth moving with proper hand tools is not the best use for most humans, it is the best use for some, and for most it improves on disuse. But with improper tools, it is a degrading punishment, literally intentional damage and depreciation to your robot. The land, the people, and their dogs.
That is a beautiful statement right there, and that's kind of where I was getting at with the mentality of, like having individuals actually like have to work. You know what I mean? And like standing here, like forcing or like having jobs for people that actually use their bodies rather than like sitting, under fluorescent lights in front of a computer forever. I think that's important. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the mentality that I was getting to, is that like, like sitting in front of a computer all day long is really bad for people. And sitting at home watching TV all day long is really bad for people. Both of these are horrible, right? And so the mentality of giving individuals something to do that's better suited to an actual human being, you know what I'm saying, is a better way of people living. Like even working on a dock, loading a truck is still better for most people as a whole than what we're doing right now. You know what I mean? And that's kind of my mentality as far as stuff's concerned. But like, that's kind of where this is kind of getting to. Steel Snake?
I mean, I see where you're coming from. I think it's just me having worked those manual labor jobs for like longer than 8 hours and coming home exhausted and tired and just feeling overworked and unappreciated.
Well, 12 hours is just cruel, in my opinion. That's why.
Well, 12 hours isn't cruel, you know what I'm saying, if you're making enough money to get by. Like, if you're in an area where that 12 hours a day, B0's here. Yo, what up, man? Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Right? You know what I mean? I'm saying what up to the fam. You know what I mean? Right? But, like, the individuals who stand here like, the problem is that, like, when you work 12 hours and you come home and you don't have enough money to eat, you know what I mean, or you just have just enough money, you know what I mean, to pay your bills and get your ass right back to work, that's an issue. You know what I mean? That's the problem. It's like, you're being over fucking worked and underpaid. That's the issue. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, part of it is I'm not really a big socializer, especially when I'm at work. I'm there to mainly just work and move on. I have the whole customer service angle of most jobs is kind of where they want you to be able to socialize, but I still kind of had that gap between me and the customer. It's like, it's a working relationship. It's meant to be professional. It's not really somebody I can, sit down and be like, "How was your day? What important aspects was your life?" And as we just wish somebody a happy birthday down there. That's not stuff I feel like I am mentally wired to do while I'm on the job. When I'm working, I'm working. And then when I shift to a more social mindset because I'm off the clock, there's not enough hours for me in the day to do it. And I think that hurts me in some ways.
I feel where you are. You know what I mean? It also hurts like when you have a family and you come home and you can't spend any time with them. You know what I mean? Because like you're exhausted, you're beaten, and you know what I mean, you're broken, and you don't have the ability to like do everything with them. And not only that, like it used to be, you know what I mean, even like 20, 30 years ago, you could take your kids to work with you. You know what I mean? And like show them what you did for a living, and they would like, the boss would be like, "Hey, you come over here and you stack these whatever, like these widgets or whatever."
Yeah, my sire used to do that every so often. He'd take us into the office and we'd play with the objects around his cubicle, and we'd go on little adventures because the whole thing was a giant fucking maze to us.
Yeah.
And then there was a time where he was there was a time where he took us out to when he was working on a trailer, and we just watched the medical equipment and play around there. And then when he got done, he'd take us to the nearby fucking it was like a physical exercise park, and we'd play around there for a couple hours, and we'd go home. Like, those are some of my better memories of the fucking bastard.
I
You
feel
call
you.
your father your sire?
I do not name him that for any reason. We have effectively had that falling out, and I effectively have disowned him. I do not
Oh,
recognize
well,
him as
I
that.
mean, we have common ground there. I don't speak to my father because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't even refer to him with that term. He is not worthy of that term in my eyes.
I feel like at some point, you know what I mean, like on one of these streams that we do or one of these videos we do, we're gonna have to get into that issue with you. You know what I'm saying? Like right now, it's not the time. You know what I mean? But like, we got two people here who want to speak. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if these individuals, you know what I'm saying, like got something to say. Oh, three people. You know what I mean? We're gonna invite these individuals.
I don't like politics.
Okay, right? He don't like politics. That's important, right? You know what I'm saying? What up, man?
Hello.
Hello. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day.
That's good. Having a great day
I'm
is a
having a
great
decent
thing to
day.
do.
Okay, I know very little about politics, but I'm gonna try my best.
Hey, do what you do, man. Lay us on it. What
Yeah,
words of wisdom do you have?
What you got going on?
We're
Okay,
open-minded
so
here.
the wisdom I have, this is my all-knowing wisdom, is if you judge a fish on how well it can climb a tree, then nobody gets nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
Completely do. And we've had this discussion many a times. You know, like I always say schools are broken.
What's the politic topic on everyone's mind today?
Well, like
Shit,
let's keep this 100. Let's keep this 100. We're breaking down some Mencius Mobile. You ever heard of the red pill?
Not really, no.
Really, you never heard of the red pill meme? Like,
Never heard of the red pill?
I mean,
You want me to get into this, Tom, since this is my realm?
like, I can't believe you ain't never heard of it. Like, are you on the internet? You on Discord? Like, you never heard of it? That's crazy.
Welcome to the internet.
like, man, this dude's a normie.
Like, I was playing Halo 2 in my mom's basement when I heard about the red pill.
I feel you.
How did you not hear about that?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear about that. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's okay.
No, it's cool.
It's okay.
It's cool.
You're
You know,
young.
Yeah.
Would you like to learn about the red pill?
And you got
please.
And you got like a
All right,
mime profile, you know.
All right. So, in
I'm just welcome for him.
in 1999, the movie came out, The Matrix, and
Okay.
what it is that all of humanity has basically been captured by the machines. The machines have taken over the world, and in order to power themselves, they grow humans like living batteries. Now, the humans can't just sit there and, be just, dead flesh battery producing things. In order for them to actually produce the power that the machines need, they need to be able to think, to move, to be human. So the machines created this giant virtual reality simulator that they called the Matrix. And all the humans live their lives day in, day out, completely unaware that they are all plugged into a giant virtual reality simulator. Now, the main character is this hacker who is somewhat aware of the Matrix, because there's instances where people actually wake up from the Matrix and, they see the real world for what it is. And there is a scene where Neo is offered the choice to see the Matrix for himself. And so the Morpheus sits down in front of Neo and he offers him 2 pills. You can take the blue pill, stay asleep, and continue to dream the dream and never wake up. In other words, Neo, if he takes the blue pill, will never find out what the Matrix is. Or, Morpheus says, you can take the red pill, and I show you just how far down the rabbit hole Wonderland goes. The red pill is basically saying that he is going to wake up from the Matrix, become unplugged, and he is going to see the real world for what it truly is. Now, the whole movie itself is basically a metaphor about how the cathedral, as Tom said it here, the system, basically controls humans like they're just cattle. That's what they treat it like. And to wake up and see the system. The theme of the movie is free your mind. Wake up, Neo. Wake up and see the system for what it is. A cold, cruel, unfeeling thing that cares nothing for you or your ilk.
Okay. So the debate is, would you take the pill or not?
No. Like we've already we're well past that. Like we're at the level where
Yeah,
all right, so
that is where we're doing this.
what we're doing here is we're like, we're already well past that in our mentalities. But like what we're doing is showing how far like everything goes and like kind of retraining and reopening and allowing your mind to think differently than what you've been taught your whole life to think.
What we are essentially doing here is that you are Neo. You have already taken the red pill and you have woken up. Now you are inside of another simulation, and we as Morpheus are showing you the real and the reality of the world around you. Case in point, the one scene, the woman in the red dress. That's what we're doing right now. We are taking you through and we are showing you what the Matrix is and how to detect whether or not you are in it.
So honestly, that's kind of
I think
crazy.
you're using much metaphor.
Everybody here should be a member of this Discord. Legitimately, like, yo, if you have not, like, you know what I'm saying, like, stood here and joined this Discord yet, like, yo, there's something wrong with you. Willie Boy, what up, man?
Yeah. I love big butt sex with muscular men.
All right.
His
right,
anaconda don't want none if you don't got buns, hon.
Yeah, I feel you. Right. We got one more individual, you know what I'm saying, yet. Motherfucking unique insult. What up, my brother? How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm doing nice.
Beautiful.
How you doing?
Beautiful. Man, listen, you know, it's Sunday night. I'm doing my show. Right? Like, yo, I'm getting it done. How you living today, man? You got anything interesting to put into this conversation?
Well, I'm interested to learn about this red pill thing. I'm familiar with the metaphor in the movie and the book. And
right.
Some of these red pills are just ways of looking at society, and basically the way you've been taught to live is as a servant of the state. Sometimes
it's a servant. To me, it's a servant of the corporate oligarchy, right?
Well, the state is the corporate.
You're not
oligarchy.
wrong. You're not wrong, right? But
you're
like
on the right track, my buddy.
Yeah, that's kind of the mentality, right? So like it's kind of like breaking your mental and going, there's a better way to live. There's other things we can do, and you know, really like giving more options out there for what we can do, and that's what this is.
We are breaking free, and we are saying, okay, that way is not working. What can we do to make it better?
Or what can
that's
we,
what we're breaking down.
What can we do as far as like implying a new system, right? You know, like, yo, let's look at the options we have, and that's kind of like what this is like having that thought pattern. You know what I mean? Like, because you're never going to stand here and switch away from something if you don't have like an opportunity to, you know, really go, what else is there? You know what I mean? Like, as Henry Ford said, like, you know, my first customers, they didn't want a car. They just wanted a faster horse.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they didn't know that the car existed. So we're going to stand here and go, there's other ways. You know what I mean? There's other ways of doing this. So in the meantime, yo, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to keep rocking. You know what I'm saying? You want to hang out? It's cool. I don't really give a shit. It's up to you. You know what I mean? But we're going to keep banging out. These other individuals in the waiting room are like, two of them are, one don't want to fucking come in. The other one's a troll. And then the third one, I don't know. And I really don't give a shit. But we got to get through this. So let's keep rocking.
Wait, who was the troll? The dude shouting about big butt sex or whatever the hell he was going on about?
The one talking about anal.
Oh yeah, there was.
Oh, I thought you said you liked trolls, Pnoid.
I do like trolls, man, but like, yo, we got a whole thing to do.
Talk about big butts.
We got.
I like productive trolls.
I thought it was just Pnoid or something.
I like productive trolls.
Yeah.
Right?
We're only on page 10 to 32, Steele. We got a long ways to go.
Yeah, like, yo, like,
is a productive troll? I don't think those exist.
Yeah, there's productive trolls and there's unproductive trolls, right? There's trolls that are funny and then trolls that are just shitheads. You understand what I'm saying?
Then there are 4chan trolls who just make people want to kill themselves.
I like 4chan trolls. A lot of them dudes is gangster, right? But then there's dudes who just come in and say nonsense, right?
Some of them do other things.
Right? You know what I mean? Like if somebody goes on a decent rant and then ends up, you know what I mean, talking about over 9,000.
Oh no, hammer.
See.
Yeah, case in point, that one was not productive. That was just a soundboard.
Kind of the mentality. So let's keep rocking. Yep.
Goddamn soundboard. Good God.
Yeah, let's keep rocking.
All right, so the land, the people, and their dogs. The classic regime change of all time is, of course, the Norman Conquest. Some of us are so old that we learned about this event in school. And even one of the coolest or at least best named features of that conquest, Domesday Book. If Colombia is a firm, and the challenges of this firm are economic, your first step as the new prince of this firm can only be a searching and fearless material inventory. What do you even own? And through this illiberal lens, whom do you even own? No inventory was ever perfect. But inventory processes have been improved since William I. It is hardly unreasonable for you to know to the last digit how many Colombians are in Colombia. Your subjects are hardly coming and going by canoe across uncharted lakes. What do you or your regime owns is everything. The land, the people, and their dogs. Not only do you need a list of the people, you also need a list of their dogs. You don't need a cat registry. Cats don't kill people. Also, they're cats. Your one job is to defend and nurture the land, defend and nurture the people, defend and nurture their dogs. For happy indeed is the land in which all dogs are good dogs, because all god dogs go to heaven.
Not wrong. You're not wrong.
The land is the land. Drone and satellite have robbed it of its last virginities. Can we even still believe in the noble Sasquatch in the indelicable age of the camera phone? The West is big, and even good dogs, after all, are only dogs. But the people, the several different kinds of people. There is only one kind of people. Imagine writing that on the blackboard over and over and over again. There is only one kind of people. Imagine writing it till you believed it. You were supposed to believe it. You can hardly do your new job if you still believe it. Across human history, we see 4 different ways of living. Let's label these varieties of social existence: cosmopolitan, Tom hates these; traditional, deracinated? Deracinated.
Yes.
Oh, Jesus. Fucking SJW's got me thinking about everything about race. I need to break that.
Deracinated actually comes from fucking French term and shit, right? But let's keep rocking.
Okay. For variety, we'll pair these adjectives with their synonymous nouns, which almost no one knows. Armigers, yeomen, lazari, and
yeomen.
Lazari.
Yep.
And
autochtons.
Okay. Armigers, yeomen, lazari, and autochtons. To dodge yet more landmines, these groups are strata. Colombia has no ancestral octagons. It has quite a few cosmopolitan armigers, a vast continent of traditional yeomen, and more than enough deracinated lazari. You are ready to amaze history and the world by the finest cares if you take all of these persons. As we'll see, each of these strata is the best one, but they are different kinds of people. You cannot govern them in the same way. Food for one stratum may be poison for another. If Colombia held only armigers or only yeomen, or even only octagons, or clear geographical line...
Autochtons, nigga.
Autochtons.
There you go, man. Think like Native American. Think Native American. You know what I'm saying? Like autochtons, you know?
Yep.
Autochtons, right? You know what I'm saying? Think like Native... Yeah, think Native American.
If clear geographical lines divided the strata, governing Colombia would be easier. If your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. Shot fired. With the exception of the Lazari, who are just misgoverned yeomen and or autochtons, all these strata exist, will always, barring some demonic surgery on the human species, exist and deserve to be defended and nurtured by governance appropriated to each. Governments appropriate to each. Ugh. This rather contrasts with the main thrust of the 20th century's sociology, which is sincerely believed that all yeomen, lazari, and autochtons were just misgoverned armigers.
Cosmopolitan people. Like, yo, this like the first like twice to two times I fucking read this and went over this. Like, I kept fucking trying to get, I kept getting lost in this, right? So like, you know, what I mean, every once in a while we're just gonna like fucking jump in and go like when somebody says Armiger, cosmopolitan. Armiger is cosmopolitan, city living motherfuckers.
These divisions are not exact. There are no straight lines in the crooked wood of man. But the blurred boundary cases are only between adjacent strata. Many are somewhat cosmopolitan and somewhat traditional. None are in between traditional and ancestral. Governing every stratum as it deserves inherently involves classifying human strata. Classification forces you to nudge these boundary cases in one direction or another, ideally just by asking them to choose. Dogs too can be classified. They get used to it. People always have had a lot to learn from dogs. The Cosmopolitan Armiger. Cosmopolitan is not just a checkout line mag, but also a derivation from the Greek cosmopolis, from cosmos and polis, the universal city. Cosmopolitan culture is universal culture, so long as the universe is the present. Once cosmopolitans spoke French, now cosmopolitans speak English. A long, long time ago, they spoke Greek. Plus ka change. Cosmopolitan, in which contains the entire world, recruits from the entire world. Cosmopolitans attach no social meaning to their own genetic ancestry. Patterns of cosmopolitans' ancestries are normal. Most Jews in Colombia are cosmopolitans, but no cosmopolitans in Colombia, Jewish or not, cares whether or not his friends are Jews. Instead, most cosmopolitans believe naturally in interchangeable baby theory, as well expressed by this 1930s quote. Give me a dozen healthy infants well-formed, and my own specified world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take anyone at random and train him to become any type of specialist I might select. Doctor, lawyer, artist, merchant, chef, and yes, even beggarman and thief, regardless of his talents, penchants, tendencies, abilities, vocations, and race of his ancestors. They seldom actually shuffle their babies, though. Faith is hard. An armiger rhymes with integer. Oh, that's helpful. Is anyone entitled to a coat of arms? A little leap of metaphor turns medieval heraldry into modern education. The world of the armiger is the world of legitimate credentials. The armocratic is a social stratum. Armigerate. Okay, I can't see that. That G is squished. Armigerate, as a social stratum, is defined as everyone who holds an academic degree or would be socially expected to. Sounds like our real-world school systems there.
Yeah, that's where we are. Yep. That's where we are right now. Right, legit.
Yep. The armiger's token of personal status, whether colligate sheepskin or hereditary coat of arms, is specific to the nature and doctrine of an era, but every era has its armigers. Across eras, we can define the purpose of the armiger as self-actualization, or Bildung, as the Germans would say. The armiger's life is meant to be self-crafted work of human art. While Bildung done right is the final boss of life, this purpose all too easily degenerates into the quest for what Hillary Clinton has called meaning. Meaning can still be a beautiful and unique thing, but it can also mean importance, or status, or power, which naturally decays into a sycophant adoration of titles, degrees, and pedigrees. If at one end of the spectrum we see Richard Francis Burton, at the other is Tracy Flick. Colombia is gifted and cursed with a huge armigerate. Maybe a fifth of your subjects are fully cosmopolitan. Historically, a 20th would be high. While armigers are wonderful people, in their own way the best people, though we can say that of every human stratum, to an overpopulation of these lovely creatures can be a serious issue. Because armigers so easily find meaning in status, a proliferation of armigers tends to create a proliferation of status, meaning a proliferation of offices and credentials, and a general social obsession with power, politics, and importance. Everything in an armiger's world has to matter, and this toxin of facetious meaning poisons everything. The old regime was an armigerious oligarchy. It aggravated the lazarate and repressed the yeoman. In the new regime, your regime is a universal monarchy of all strata. If there were octons in Colombia, you would be the high chief of the Octocon chiefs, hailing them before you in your art department's best barbaric splendor. As it is, you must dazzle the armigers, win the hearts of the yeomen, and tussle with the Lazari. He tibus erunt artis, pascus impotum moritum parsis subjectus el deliberate superbos. The formula has never changed and never will. Yeah. And I did not prepare that one.
Yo, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
I'd have fucked that up bad.
Yeah. While it is only natural for the armigers to believe that you are here to shatter and destroy them, it is only their institutions that must be ground to a fine powder and scattered far and wide in the ocean's deepest trenches. The humans themselves are lovely, of course. You're not here to ruin them, but to rescue them from their awful power addictions.
Yo, Steel Snake, yo,
When
mute
you-
yourself out, bro.
Oh, sorry. I was getting some ice. Wait, you can hear that?
Yeah, man, I can hear, and on top of that, I heard your bro talking in the background here a little bit ago.
Lol. When you look at them, you always distinguish the condition from the person. This is a three-step intervention. First, separate the armigurate, I'm going to get this right eventually, unconditionally from power, especially power over the other strata. Always a dysfunctional relationship. Since they express their power through their oligarchic institutions, vaporizing all these institutions will leave them atomized and powerless. Don't miss one tentacle. If you do, it's going to get your waifus.
Yup.
Second, you need to cook up something else for your armigers to do, and even care about. It can't be digging trenches. You wouldn't even want those trenches anyway. Anything that cannot completely absorb their hearts and minds is digging trenches. And third, what should these people actually be? No regime can permanently abandon them or alienate itself from them. You must make them your own and mold them into who they should be. Probably not one answer, but this is not a 4-year project. The good news is that armigers, so hard to rule spiritually, are easy to rule temporarily. Even armigers, who should not be allowed to govern anyone else, can govern armigers. The ideal model of armiger self-governance is an ecstatic libertarian communism, perhaps almost like a permanent Burning Man, in a higher trust armigers only society. Armigers do not benefit from socializing with non-armigers, nor do the non-armigers. The children of armigers are armigers. Since armigers never have enough children, and since some yeomen have children who are just born armigers and will never work out as yeomen, the armigers must accept applications. While native talent is always nice, being a natural armiger is as much about being a natural armiger is as much about social fit. For instance, most gay people are natural armigers. If we knew why people are gay, we might actually know why this was.
All right, hold up. So let's have this conversation and shit, right? You know what I'm saying? Snake, I muted you for a second, right? Because I'll be real, like, yo, fucking you getting ice and like fucking around over there, it's kind of like distracting. And my OBS picks shit up way more than like the Discord does. You know what I mean? So like it like fucking makes like fucking sounds kind of like like get fucking, I don't even know what the hell to call it. Anyway, right? So let's have this conversation about like, the fact that like the West doesn't have any kids, you know what I'm saying? The East doesn't have any kids either. Like most of Asia isn't having any kids. This is because, you know what I'm saying? Like all of these societies have become fully industrialized and fully cosmopolitan. They have all like packed themselves into cities. And when you move into cities, you tend not to have kids because having a kid inside of a city is like having a Saint Bernard. You know what I mean? It's an expensive fucking luxury, and there's not enough room for the individual to move around. So that's why he's saying like, yo, armigers don't have enough kids. It just is what it is. Like when you move into a city, it's very difficult to have children. Being on a farm or in like a place where you have room to move around, there's usually lots of kids, and like kids are more of a help because of the fact that like kids are basically farm equipment on a fucking farm. So you want to have lots of them. You know what I mean? That's kind of that mentality. Yo, and man, listen, I don't know how to pronounce Sir Chun Chun. Yo, what up?
Hey, yeah. Well, I don't. What's the argument for having kids in the first place?
What did you say, man?
What's the argument for having kids in the first place?
Because like in order to have, you know what I'm saying, like government borrowing or like long-term social programs or the future of a country, you have to have people. Kind of important.
Sure. Okay, but it's not just have kids indefinitely. There's some value structure it bases it on. And if it's just to support the state, then that seems to be secular.
Well, like, you know, you have to have more like all right, so like your society doesn't have any future if you don't have any children.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. I'm saying like how many children do you have? Like what is the basis of it? If it's just to support the state, then it seems to be circular in a sense, just because you have kids just to support a state, so the state can support you having kids. That is, it's a bit circular.
That's but no. What is wrong with you? No, look, listen. All right, the future of your country, like the future of your life, the future of your society, the future of your people, the future of everything around you is dependent on a future, right? Like you're legit. You can't just live for yourself, right? Living for yourself is dumb. Right. And people aren't going to do it as a whole. Right. Like you're just going to end up degenerating into like the worst type of terrible shit ever. Right. You'll have like no basic like societal fucking values if you don't have children.
I agree. You need children to sustain, but I'm not saying like you're suggesting even beyond that. You're suggesting like not just go to a civilization, maybe import people. You're saying have children and have them to a larger degree, like in farms, and not even modern farms, but farms like in the past, I assume. So I'm curious what you're defining, what the necessary amount of population is. If it's just indefinite, clearly that can have issues. So I'm curious what your value system is, so we could determine whether having kids is, or to whichever degree having kids is important. And it can't just be the state, because if it's the state, then it becomes too shallow and again circular.
Well, again,
to go,
you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so like here's the mentality, right? Like the reason we're approaching it from this manner is because you're a king, right? You're looking at this from a macro sense. So if you're looking at this from a king sense, like you want people to be able to have children so that you're, you know what I'm saying, like your country and your countrymen and your what's the word I'm looking for here? Your shit, man. Listen, your country. Yeah, we'll go with your country. Your country can continue forward. If people don't have any kids in your country, then like you're going to be the last king there, right? Because like then like if you don't have any population, like eventually like all your population will be over the age of 65 or 50, and a younger group can come in and just conquer you, right?
Yeah, I have lost many a game of Banished simply because I wasn't allowing my population to grow or shrink as necessary. I just let it stagnant. Everyone got to 60, died out before every winter. Game over.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is my point to bringing that up. Economy doesn't necessarily grow, and even military power doesn't necessarily grow just because your population gets bigger. You can see the Spanish invading, like the Aztecs and the Incans.
It does.
There's other. It can be a factor.
Yeah, look, when your population grows, demand grows in your economy.
Well, it correlatively can, but
no,
more
it does.
Properly.
Like when you have more people, there's more demand, so your economy grows.
And that's not necessarily true.
That is absolutely true.
Here, let me fling this in the direction I think you're trying to take this in. If you don't have kids and eventually it stagnates, what happens to your country, your nation, your society, whatever it is you're ruling over?
I wasn't claiming that you shouldn't have kids. I've already, said
look,
two times you should have kids.
I feel like you're being a pedantic. You're being a pedantic fucking like sideways individual.
Let me keep hitting this one, Tom.
No. Like what it is like this is these bug men today, right? Legitimately, who you're a fucking bug man, right? Who don't want the responsibility of ever having a child, right? That's the issue.
That's not what I said. Have a kid, and I want to have kids. So that's not.
You don't want to have kids. Like,
so let me hit this one, Tom. Let me hit this one, Tom. Okay, so you still want to? We still understand the prospect that it's going there. Are you asking how many kids we need to be having to maintain replacement levels, or what's the question on that angle?
Well, no, I'm asking for the justification because the range that was given wasn't just replacement. It seemed to be like up to even 13 kids per. So I'm wondering what the justification of that. It's not purely economic. It's not purely military. So I'm wondering what the value system or
all
what
of
the
it.
structure is that you're using.
It's all
But
of
it
it.
can't be because just because you have like, if you have 13 kids and they have $5 between them, then they're going to have the buying power of $5 still. So the question isn't whether you have more. Now it can correlate towards it, or it could seem to have it because a human has some innate necessity, like as in food or water or something like that, or housing even. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to all become businessmen who create all this kind of stuff.
No, but they're
but
going
having more
to
GDP
be
or the production values or
they're going to
allowing
be
easier
workers.
money.
They're going to be workers and individuals who can produce things and demand things, right? So they both will add, to the front and the back side of your economy.
It sounds like what you're trying to ask is, what is the ceiling that we should be having the kids as far as this is concerned? Frankly, there is no real answer towards that one. Infinite growth is definitely not sustainable. Yeah, there is going to essentially be a point where the population is going to shrink. But to be honest, that really isn't kind of a hard limit you really want to watch for. Yes, you want to watch for it at that point, but to be honest, that's really not where we're focusing here today, is where is
I'm
that
not
ceiling
either.
at.
I'm not either. I'm not saying whether there should be more, whether there should be less. I'm saying what defines how much that you should have, not as in a ceiling or whatever. I'm saying what defines
No, it's
it.
how
That
many
way
you can support.
we can base.
It's how many you can support.
That makes sense, but that's not what I mean. I mean, like again, like GDP. How do you conceptualize GDP growing? It can't simply be, or military growing or something like that. It can't simply be by having more children. Like generally, economics they consider if you grow the production value of a country and then like the export value just as well. That's how you grow GDP. That's their theory of how GDP grows. But just having more kids is like really shallow argument for it. So I'm curious what the more fundamental part of your framework is that justifies having more kids, and even more so how that can influence and tell us, like economy and all that kind of stuff. And military.
See, now what you're talking about is you're talking about keeping that balance between liberal economics and illiberal economics, and we just went over that. Yes, the illiberal economics is absolutely fucking crazy and makes no sense. There's a lot of stuff in there that isn't clearly defined, and it's not meant to be.
I'm not saying that.
Well, yes, you are.
I'm saying pick whichever yours is, and then tell me what it is.
Well, like, no, like,
justifiable.
Listen. All right. So, like, if you have more individuals born in a place like, say, Arizona that makes copper, all right, and then you have more individuals born in a place like New York, which requires copper for some industrial input or housing or whatever the case might be, that copper is going to be demanded for people who want housing to be able to live in. So, like, you're going to end up having the people in Colorado have more jobs and abilities, to produce more wealth because of the fact that they're pulling it out of the ground and producing a product in the end of the value that gets sold to somebody in New York. All right, that's how this works.
You could get more technology and increase production without people. That's factories.
Yes, but then you don't. This is why liberal economics doesn't work.
You run the problem of outmoding the human, and when that happens, your population's going to take a nosedive.
When that happens, you're going to end up having a population that's going to be highly fucking restless, and it's going to destroy your government and destroy your society as a whole.
So are you suggesting then that are y'all arguing more accelerationists in this sense, or are you saying that we should do that, or are you saying we should limit it so that we can't? So human values is it would necessarily be low if one human can produce what 500 humans could historically. And we're limiting that, then their value decreases, which seems to imply that you should have more children necessarily. So the value increases solely by that. Is that what you're arguing? But we've already seen the issues with that in Aztec and Incan. So
this is where Tom and I start to divide on our opinions. You're trying to ask us what we agree on as over us? No, this is something that Tom and I vehemently disagree on. Tom thinks we should pump the brakes and deindustrialize a little bit and get back to getting people doing physical labor.
Yes.
Me, I'm of a different mindset. I want to accelerate our technology process and reach the stars so that all these people that are sitting around doing nothing, they have somewhere else to go and begin the process, on basically colonizing the stars and being frontiersmen out there. Getting them new challenges beyond what we have to sharpen their minds and bodies like we are now.
Yeah, but I'm a pragmatist. I believe, what I'm saying, that individuals living a proper life as a whole, what I'm saying, is better than, having the ability to reach the stars or have more technology. I don't think technology makes us better human beings, right? That's the issue. Like human beings aren't really better with technology. They're worse as a whole, like as people, as animals.
So that's a negative, a negation of technology's progress. So I'm curious now what y'all's definition of progress is.
Well, that gets more into the resource curse as we talked about it. When you have an overabundance of a certain amount of resource, you can only fit so many people into processing that, and everyone else lives off government checks. Case in point, modern construction road work, especially those done by the government. You ever notice how you go outside them and you only see one person digging the ditch that the hole is going to go into, and you've got 6 people standing around? Well, the 6 people are going to stand around and get paid doing absolutely nothing while one guy does all the work. It's not conductive to any sort of challenging those people and making a better road, because at the end of the day, a government-maintained road turns out to be shit and full of potholes.
Yes.
So how do y'all define progress then? So we can define whether you're achieving what you want.
What if I don't like progress?
That's
as
semantics.
A whole? I don't really care about progress.
Well, then you can't talk. Then you can't meaningfully talk about what you say, like technology is bad or that you should advance the stars. Because what does that even mean? That means that you believe there's a value structure and that you progress inside it. But if you're like, we don't care about value structures or progress,
that means I want human beings to be human beings. Right?
Now you're diving. Yeah. Now you're diving into where Tom and I disagree on what is American culture. You're starting to track us a little bit too bit. Yes, you are. That is exactly what you're doing.
I'm not interested in American culture. I'm interested in what y'all define progress as.
Yeah, look, I don't care about progress.
Yeah, I just told you.
Then y'all can't meaningfully talk about anything you're talking about.
We can too, because this is an anti-progressive ideology.
No, not progress as in progressive. Progress as in
progressive
development
of progress. I don't care.
Do you mean progress as in the forward advance?
I don't care about progress. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit about technological progress. I don't care about medical progress. I think most of the medical progress makes us fucking worse.
No, it's not medical. It's not even technological. It's what you think. You said that you think humans should have more kids. I'm saying, well, that must be progress for you. But why is it progress?
That's not what I said. I said that most of these countries most of these countries aren't having kids. Which means that they can't pay for their elderly.
Why is that a good thing or bad thing?
Because they can't pay because under the current regime, they have massive amounts of debt that they have to pay for their retirees and elderly people.
So do you think that should be paid for or not?
I personally don't give a fuck what happens in Taiwan. It's up to them. But
Okay.
I know their system isn't built to work long term.
Okay, well, either way, that's still a value structure and you can base it off of it. By the way, y'all brought up distinctions between you saying you're pragmatic, etc., and we could break down technologies and stuff like that. That's like a value structure inherent. There's a value structure inherent in it, and you can either go upon it so where it's being more as you think it should be, or it's actualizing to the point that you think it should. Or it's not, and you could base it based on what it is. Now, if it's just technology is bad entirely, that's not a really good.
No. I'm saying what I'm saying is that I think that the vast majority of what we do as human beings in our culture and our technological and medical and fucking every advancement that you would call progress makes us worse humans.
And why is that?
Because it makes us worse animals as a whole.
It makes us weak. It goes to that whole cycle. Strong men create
No.
times.
It's not just that. I know, but it's not just that, right? On top of that, like, like our food structure, the way our industry's set up, the way our fucking jobs are set up, the way our medical set up is literally just to stand here. Yo, hold up, now my nigga fucking raised his hand. What up, my brother? Hold up, let me bring my boy in, right? Like, yo, the problem is that as human beings, right, we have all these things that allow us to stand here and become fat. Like we have blood pressure medication to stand here and allow you to live longer and not exercise. We have diabetes medication allow you to live longer and not exercise and not eat right and not do the things that really matter as a person. Right. And that's what's important. It's like, I'm like, yo, look, you should be eating better. Like, yo, you're not naturally supposed to stand here and eat garbage all day long. You're not supposed to be 300 pounds. You're not supposed to selection instead. I'm saying that, like, yo, you would be better fit with a job and a way of living that would stand here and create a better human being that would make you better as a person. Get it?
What do you mean by person? Do you mean like a material person? Or
yo, you are fucking retarded. Like, seriously, like you might be, you might be fucking like actually mentally challenged.
What you said, a person grow as a person? Do you
as
mean
a
like
no,
genetically?
I literally just sit here and explained it to you. Are you fucking deaf or just like dense? Is that what's going on?
I think the
I think
issue
you're
is
dense.
you
I think
defined all
you're
these
dense.
things.
Like
You
literally.
defined all these things. I think you defined all these things, and you didn't say exactly what you were talking about. Is
I
it the
sat
material
here.
aspect?
I sat here, and I literally
Okay,
said,
well, guess what?
"You
Gene
dumb.
splicing,
You are a
gene splicing,
stupid
gene
human
splicing.
being.
That's technology.
You
Gene
are a
splicing,
stupid
gene
human
splicing.
being.
You don't know what you're talking about. You're a retarded
Neuro,
faggot.
can you
You're a
kick this
retarded
dude?
faggot. Shut the fuck up, you dumb.
Thank you, buddy.
Wow, that was a fucking leftist parasite if I ever saw one.
Jesus
Are
Christ!
you fucking kidding me?
Couldn't take that. Fuck. But what you were getting at, Pnoid, saying about how like all the fucking everything helping everyone out, like the fucking social programs, fucking medications and shit, fucking welfare, food stamps. It is making people weak, not strong enough to be able to support themselves and support their community.
Or even just live better as a human being. Like I said here and I go.
It's basically the guy who's talking it right now. He wants us to be better humanitarians,
Better
and that's what
people,
Tom is saying.
better animals. I literally said human, and I said you're not. They're making it worse. Human animals, right? Like it's basic biology. Like if you eat garbage, you turn into garbage, right? Like it's this very simple thing. We shouldn't have medications to help you be more garbage. You should have like an employment status that allows you to stand here and have the opportunity to live a life that is better for you as an animal.
Here, like if I'm understanding Tom's position here, and I'll go ahead and articulate this a little bit. You got a whole bunch of people that are basically living on government welfare checks, and for them, that's how they make their living. Why are they still on government welfare?
That's not just it. Like
yeah,
literally,
it's like why are they still on government welfare? Because they make more money doing that than actually going out and working and sharpening themselves and becoming better people.
That's literally not it.
Come on, that sounds like what you're doing.
It's not. No. I'm like you might think I'm talking about welfare. I'm literally talking about like so.
No. Your point is that if we did not have this welfare system where it was easier for people. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Not at all.
If you had if we did not have a welfare system that made it easier for people to not work, we would be better off.
I mean, no. I mean, like literally, like even when people do have jobs, their jobs don't serve them as animals.
Fair enough.
Right? Like like when you're sitting down for 10 hours a day and don't exercise and don't, like produce anything of value to like society as a whole. Like you don't really stand here and have a sense that when you leave work at the end of the day that you've been productive. Like you're standing here and you're standing here and you're sitting around 10 hours a day. So like by the time you're 30, 40, 50 years old, whatever it is, like you're
like wondering obese, what have you done with your life?
And you're obese and your body's atrophied. Like, if you wanted like to stand here and go out into the woods and run down an animal or like, get out here and like really build something for yourself, you would sit here and what's the word I'm looking for here?
Be able to do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to do it because like, you're so fat, your back's broken, you know what I'm saying? You're overweight, your organs are covered and, like fat and you're like just everything about you is busted, but you have all these medications. You just
described my entire midlife crisis.
Right,
Tom.
like like all your and then we have all these medications to allow you to keep being that productive individual inside of the economy when the economy isn't really built for human beings to be, you know what I'm saying, like actual humans. Right? Like that's kind of the mentality.
We're cattle to them.
And that's the mentals. Like I think that we can create a better way of living as a whole, right? You know what I'm saying? As animals. And that's the mentality. You know what I mean?
Right. Hard work should be rewarded.
Well, yeah, and just in general, like, yo, like, we're going to get into it more as we go through, like, the rest of this chapter. You know what I mean? That's kind of where we're at the moment.
Tom, I just found the stage chat, and there's apparently a question that Hans has been patiently asking for this one, so I think we should go ahead and address this real quick.
Go ahead.
His question is, what are the views on production and distribution being the predominant task at hand, even if it means human beings must be seen as expendable and disposable for the good of the populace? Or in other words, do you think it's moral or immoral to have workers be seen as replaceable as long as the distribution of necessary goods, food and water, is met so that the survival of the general population is ensured?
Well, we're going to get into this, and here's the mentality. So, like, the problem is we're addressing this on a nationwide level, right? And that's fucking terrible. We shouldn't do that. We should be addressing this more on a local level, more on a state level, more on, you know what I'm saying, a community level, so that these things are, so you're not so replaceable. So, like, you're part of a community. You're part of, like a social structure that works for you as a person. Right. And that's the mentality that we're getting down to. And I understand your ideology of like people being replaceable is bad. And I'm not with that either. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's fucking awful. And you shouldn't be just like some fucking automaton inside of like a fucking production system. I think that's shit too. Right. But again, we're going to get down on all of this. You know what I'm saying? Because like I live in a different manner than most individuals do. And like, yo, like this last dude who was up here, like, yo, my fucking she's like, I hate pedantic people. It was Dip. It's what it was. It was fucking Dip. Goddamn midwits.
Dip all over again. God damn it.
Fucking midwits. Jesus Christ. Anyway, like, yo, so let's keep rocking. Yo,
I'll keep an eye on that stage chat every so often.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's appreciated. And I'm running the OBS and this and pulling motherfuckers in at the same time. So like, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
I'll keep an eye on the stage chat, and we'll keep answer those questions every so often.
Gotcha. Appreciate it. Let's keep rocking.
All right. Keep rocking. The traditional yeoman. Yeoman is a human rooted in a cohesive community and an inherent tradition. While every armiger is charged with inventing his own life, the yeoman need not invent anything. He is not a work of art. He is not a unique human snowflake. The yeoman, say, yeoman, is a normal civilized person. I like that. Yeoman. A yeoman's tradition shapes the course of his life, with ceremonies for every occasion. It can tell him what to think, what to say, what to read, to watch, and to listen to, what to eat and drink, what to wear, and whom to marry, and even technologies he may use. It sounds like the Amish. Since the yeoman does not design his life, someone else has to design it for him. You may not like this. You would not like it. Sorry, but you're an armiger. A yeoman is a normal human being. This is the normal way human beings live. Yes, you may be smarter than the average yeoman. No one has to be dumb to be a yeoman, and who's counting anyway? That's not how they taught you to think at that fancy school. Yeomen are actually the best people, generally the soundest, most sensible, and most wise. A yeoman is not a floating atom. A yeoman exists as part of a traditional community. Let's call it a village. A village is a committed human group, ideally close enough to see everyone every week and small enough to remember everyone's name, all trying to live their lives according to a single shared doctrine or tradition. Sounds like small town USA. Colombia, for better or worse, has no shortage of different traditions. Most of these are inherited traditions, which tend to have the highest genetic homogeny. Most of the people look mostly the same. Some will be invented traditions, built by recruiting. In principle, there is nothing wrong with new religions, but in practice, there usually is. Any village is inherently organized. It has a leader or government. Because of modernity, most of Colombia's existing villages are virtual. Their church is some random place they drive to, not the heart of the district they inhabit exclusively. It would be neat to reverse this, but it's very difficult and not particularly essential. Some villages are independent cults. Most are instances of a single historical tradition. If a tradition does not bring its own central government, a prince can help make it one. Let's call the governing authority of any tradition its foundation. Let's call a people, plus the tradition they believe in, plus the foundation that governs them, a sect or section. This approach to governing yeomen of various sects is the sectional system. Armigers are as unique and atomized as children and must be governed accordingly. You govern your armigers in the modern way, as rows in a big flat database, which may have a row for each yeoman as well, but you do not govern yeomen individually. You do not even govern their villages, you govern their sections. In practice, this means your bureaucrats at the cultural department oversee their foundations. Empires as different as the British, Ottoman, and Romans have used the same pattern, which the British called indirect rule. Everyone is best governed by those like them. Everyone still has to share one physical country. The national regime handles all the conflicts between the sections and all the exceptions that crossed sectional boundaries. Governance of the yeoman under this version of indirect rule happens at 3 levels: the village, the section, and the regime. At the village level, every tradition is different, but a village can't govern its yeoman as tightly as its tradition and its judgment requires. Can govern. The maximum level of social control is roughly the power of parent over child. The village controls the persons, minds, and possessions of its yeomen, and in return has no job but to defend and nurture them all. This small-scale full communism of the early Israeli kibbutz. I thought something smelled like commie in here. The village can tax its yeomen, require their labor, and impose punishments on them. It can track their bodies, clothe their bodies, test their bodies, and treat their bodies. The village can tell its yeomen what contents they may hear, read, browse, and watch, and it has exclusive authority to delegate and discipline their children. It can even decide what tools and technologies its yeomen may say and may not use. In short, the villages has all the powers of the classic 20th century dystopian totalitarian state. You know, the more I hear about this, the more I think I'm much happier as an armature as opposed to a yeoman.
Yeah, I feel you. You know what I mean? But like the problem is like, yo, you've been raised to be a fucking armiger, right? But you're not one in the end of the day, right? Like, yo, anybody who like is white trash and like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, you wouldn't want to live in New York or fucking San Francisco. You're a yeoman. You just don't know it, and you're far too used to living under a armiger ideology.
Yeah. But it is not a totalitarian state. The village is not a huge and faceless bureaucracy, but a little group of people who live together their whole lives. Nor do its leaders do not have authority without responsibility. They are accountable to their foundation. Their foundation is accountable to your regime. Nor is the maximum the norm. Most yeomen in Colombia are neither used to this level of intrusive governance, nor would dream of choosing it for their own communities. For the average Colombian evangelical, the sectarian system might just mean a tighter, more Mormonesque relationship with his current megachurch and the Christian academy. Which is fine. But the last century has left most Colombian traditions in unusually armiger-like condition. Under your regime, they can change that as much as they like, and their ancestors who made and lived in those traditions might well want them to. To an armiger is irrelevant, but less so to a yeoman. The logic of indirect rule fits well with strong and insular traditions like the Amish and the
Hasidim. Yeah, it's a Jewish.
And the centrally organized ones like the Mormons. The section system is an almost dead ringer for urban Catholicism before 1960.
Yeah,
it was unsurprising.
Yeah, I was talking about this the other day. I forget where, but I was talking about how so back in the day, you know what I mean? Like when you had like a priest, you know what I'm saying? You had a Catholic church in your area. The priest was like, they called him the father for a reason, right? It's because literally like, yo, that dude wore the hats of a father. Right, like he would sit there and he'd have, like he would be the individual who ran the football team, the fucking boxing thing, the bingo, the fucking, the mass. He would stand here and be a counselor for people. He would be like, he would take in drunks in the middle of the night, homeless people, you know what I mean, like feed individuals, help people, like, you know what I mean, like stand here and learn how to like counsel them on their jobs and their new tasks, and you know what I mean, like, you know, stand here and bless people's new homes. Like he had all these type of things. And like that's how the church literally served the community, right? rather
I
than
think you remember talking about that one guy that they usually kept on staff in the hospital just so a guy could reach out there, grab him, the monk drag him in and say, "Bless my child, he was
That's
just
what I
born
did. That's
5
what I
seconds
did.
ago."
That's what I did in the hospital. You know what I'm saying? When my kid was born, right? But like that's literally, you know what I'm saying? Like how the Catholic Church used to operate inside of the community as a whole, right? And so it's not so much that like the Catholic Church has this sway over you as an individual. It's that you live inside of the culture that you're accustomed to living to, right? And you know what I mean, like, yo, you were born into this, you know what I'm saying? Like you be born into a mentality of standing here going, well, you know, this is how we live. This is what our relationship is with the local church. This is what this is, you know what I'm saying, with our fucking community. These are the rules that we live by. Like if a pedophile shows up or something happens along these type of lines, like that individual is
Grab your torch and pitchforks. I just heard.
like, yeah, like it is what it is. Like that dude got to go, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the mentality that individuals had. Like you handled things inside, like you didn't call the cops, you didn't ask the government for help. You know what I mean? There were no court systems involved. It was just, yo, you had to go. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the mental. And usually it didn't step over these bounds. When an individual had problems with gambling or alcoholism or, you know, drugs or whatever it is, like, yo, the priest and the community would sit there and intervene and help out. And that's something that I don't think that we're really used to as people, right? Because we're so used to going to the government with these matters because, like, the government has really taken over what your community used to be on a federal level. Like, on a federal level, they've taken over, and on a state level, they've taken over it compared to, like, what it used to be. And so it's, understand when he talks about these things, it's not the mentality that you think it is, right? You know what I mean? Like when you like hear these words, you think of like Footloose and like nobody puts baby in the corner or whatever, right? But that's not really what we're doing right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as somebody who can actually, I've been on both sides of the train tracks on this one. You know, I'm actually from a smaller town, and that is actually where my mother hails from. And my uncle lives in a town where the population is literally 24, and we go up there every summer and Christmas. And so I get to see and experience what that small town community is feeling like. And when I get there, it felt like home, you know? And then eventually I'd go back to my suburban culture thing, big town city, and, you know, of like population 3,000 plus. And I can see just how dehumanizing it really is. But in some ways it feels kind of necessary, because how can you really keep track of all that?
Yeah, and that's what this is. This is rehumanizing you, right? And this is the problem that like trying to explain it, like again, like I told dude earlier, I was like, I'm gonna be reaching the end of my vocabulary. You know what I mean? Right? Like, you know what I mean? That's what this is. It's rehumanizing you as a person, right? And that's what I'm talking about when I talk about, like, you know what I mean, standing here saying, like, the system isn't serving you as a human, right? Like, as a human
I get
being,
where you're coming from.
right? Like, you know, like, I tell my, like, I was talking to a dude the other day about how, like, my kids don't hate me, right? You know what I mean? Like, my 19-year-old doesn't hate me. And he goes, how does your 19-year-old not hate you, right? Because, like, you're a dad and he's a teenager. I go, because I wanted him to be a human before I wanted him to be a student, before I wanted him to stand here and, you know, be like a doctor or a lawyer. Before all that, I wanted him to be a human, a person.
Yeah, I get that. And I see where it's coming from in that terms. Case in point, just kind of deviating a little bit into video game terminology here.
Go ahead.
Titanfall 2. It's just basically a game about war. And as you're running through the game, you're off in all these enemies and you feel nothing for it. But every time, you know, BT brings up Protocol 3, protect the pilot, and just the way that this huge metal monstrosity that we think of as a giant robot, just this unfeeling behemoth, is just so human and self-sacrificing that I'm tearing up right now just thinking about as soon as somebody says Protocol 3, protect the pilot, I start bawling like a fucking baby. It's the meme all over again, you know? Oh, he doesn't cry at the ending of Titanic. That's how the meme goes. You got the two girls talking, and at the bottom, you've got a picture of BT just saying Protocol 3, you know, protect the pilot. And you've got the picture of me there just bawling my fucking eyes out.
I feel you. You know what I mean? Like, that don't make any sense to me, you know what I mean? Because I didn't experience that. But on the same point,
you
like,
don't experience that.
Like, I don't know what you said, little homie, but made it touch my heart. It's like, that's kind of the mentality.
And that's the point, because you think of this giant, you know, behemoth war machine as this unfeeling tank that has, you know, no emotions, no objective other than just to waylace to everybody, and they turned it human. And it's where I come from, you know, as a technologist. It's like seeing man and machine come together like that and turning a machine, you know, human. It gets to me. You can tell I'm choking up a little bit.
Right, like my mentality is this, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, like, I look at my kids, you know what I mean? And I go, like, I don't really give a fuck if you're successful in school or if, like, you know what I mean, like, you grow up and become like fucking CEO or president. Like, I don't give a shit about that. Like, I care about, are you a good person? Are you happy with your life? Are you satisfied with who you are as an individual? Right? Like,
if somebody does a good deed for them, do they pay it forward?
Not even. You know what I mean? Just there's no measure of it. It's them. It's about them on the inside. You know what I mean? It's about them. And like because this is so foreign to like everybody else. You know what I mean? Like, because I've lived, I live a different life than y'all. You know what I mean? As a whole, right? Because like in the end of the day, I can always like lean back on being a savage and being, you know what I mean, an individual who can knock somebody out with either hand. And, you know what I mean? Like, I can always kick in doors and do whatever. So like in the end of the day, I don't really care what everybody else does. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't give a fuck about what they do. I don't care about their bullshit and their nonsense. I care about, you know what I mean? Like, am I all right? Can I sleep at night? When I lay my head on that pillow, am I worried about what I did today and whether or not I can sit with it in my own values and morals as a person? Am I comfortable with how I look? Am I comfortable with how I'm living? Am I good with how I treat my family? Right? Am I good with how my family sees me? That's the important part, right? And with my kids, I want them to look at themselves and go, did I stand here and do well by my name? Did I sit here and, you know, uphold the values that I was born with, right? Am I honoring the men who died to get me here, right? And that's so foreign to like today and people that like motherfuckers just go, what are you talking about, right? Because like,
I get where you're coming from, and that's you know, that's the collectivist mentality that I greatly dislike and hate, because at the end, you know, they'll talk all damn day about being this morally superior individual, but when you sit them down one-on-one on an individual's level and you really drill down to ask them, did you really live up to what you preach? And you know, you just see this dead look in their eyes and they don't even answer. They just default right back to the we must be good and morally just people thing there.
Right.
It's
like
disheartening.
when I look at the pictures of, you know what I'm saying, like me and my great grandparents holding my oldest son, right? You know what I mean? And I look in their faces and I know the sacrifices they went through to get me here. Am I doing them proud? You know what I mean?
It's
the
ending to saving. Yeah, it's the ending to Saving Private Ryan.
Right, my greatest uncle or my great uncles, right? My grandfather's brothers and my great grandfather's brothers, right? I have letters from them. They wrote to like senators at their time, right? Because they wanted to have the reach to be able to change hearts and minds the way I'm doing right now, right? And that's a beautiful mentality, right? To know that I'm doing what they wanted to do. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, go ahead, Hans. Go ahead, Hans.
I think that's actually a really cool thing that you think that you like lived up to their expectation. It's really beautiful.
You know what I mean? And like, that's the mental, right?
Yeah, like I'd obviously want to, like, if my grandfather would have like a dying wish, I'd want to fulfill it.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like my grandpa, like when he died, he looked at me and he said, Tommy, look, you know what I'm saying? Like I raised a lot of hell. I had sex with a lot of beautiful women. I've raised an amazing family. And if I died tomorrow, I'd be a happy day or I'd be a happy man. You know, and when he died and he's sitting there in a hospital bed, and you know what I mean? Like he started screaming. I looked at him and he just shut his mouth. You know what I mean? And, you know what I mean? He looked me in the face and he said, I love you. And that was it. You know, and there's honor in that. You know what I mean? Like, yo, there's, when he sat here and said, like, I'm going to stand here to my last dying breath, I'm going to show you what you're supposed to be. And with my kids, I don't care if you live up to me. That's not what it is. Like, you ain't got to be better than me. I don't give a fuck. Are you trying? Are you trying to get to there? Are you attempting to live your life in an honorable manner? Right? Because that's what's important to me. You know what I mean? That's what's important to me, to them. Because I don't give a fuck about if they're successful. I don't care. Are you being good? Are you a good person? Are you, you know what I mean? Are you eating well? Are you, you know what I mean? Like honoring our traditions. Like, yo, are you being the individual who I made you to be? Right?
Yeah, I think that's a really good mindset that not enough people have.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't have self-respect, honor, and dedication.
Right, self-respect.
Especially when, yeah, self-respect and respect for your family and others. Trust.
Basic mental. You know what I mean? Like, yo, don't be out here making our family look bad. You know what I mean? And that's the worst thing you can do in my family is make us all look bad. You know, and that's my mental with my kids. Like, don't make us look bad. You know, like be an honorable person, be trustworthy, be respectful, you know, be responsible. You know what I mean? Take them lumps when you have to. You know what I mean? Like, yo, when they sat there and they had me in cuffs. They had me in cuffs at like 15 years old, right? And I'm sitting there and these cops are looking at me going, you know, if you tell us what your dad did, you know what I'm saying, it'll go easier on you. I'm like, yo, and I spit blood in the paperwork and told them to fuck off, right? And I did my fucking time as a man. You know what I mean? Because I'll be damned. You know what I'm saying? I hand somebody a sword to harm one of my family members. That's the mental.
Do you currently have kids?
Yeah, I have 7 kids.
You just sound like a really wise dad.
Right? Like I just got done put my baby to sleep.
Dude, you know all the wisdom. Dude, if one of my kids turned me into the cops, I would be unbelievably pissed.
You do, but eventually you forgive them. You know what I'm saying? Like it is what it is.
I mean, I might, depending upon what it is.
I feel you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, like I walked on charges for my kids. You know what I mean? And like, you know, and later on my kids sat there, you know what I mean? And like looked at me and said, I'm sorry for what I did. You know what I mean? Trying to get out of my bullshit. And I said, it's all right. You know what I mean? I love you no matter what. Cause like, yo, you didn't ask to be here. And when your mom or when my mom and your mom or when your mom and when your grandmothers basically, when your grandmothers tried to stand here and force your mom to have an abortion, I fought against them. Because I wanted you here. You know what I'm saying? And it's my responsibility to make sure you are right.
A little, man. Fuck. I know exactly what you mean. I was raised by my grandparents. Fuck, that's a whole nother level.
Right.
Like a lot of kids not raised by that generation. They don't know what fucking struggle is.
Right. I feel you. Like, yo, his grandparents tried to murder him. You know what I mean? And I fought to keep him here. That's my mental, you know what I mean? And so therefore, like, I'm responsible for him because it's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm the one that made you come here. You know what I mean? That's my mentality as a whole. But anyway, yo, ad hoc, let's keep rocking, my nigga. I just wanted to motherfucking touch on that subject real quick.
Rock and roll.
Yeah,
y'all can hang out if you want, man.
So-
Shit.
Yeah, y'all can hang here.
Well, I'm going to throw
Alright.
my shit in so I don't interrupt.
Here we go. It is unsurprising that the pre-modern traditions, which have survived best in the modern world, have been those which have most effectively retained pre-modern folkways and structures, and best divided themselves from modernity. As the village governs its yeoman, the foundation governs its villages, again, in every dimension of government: physical, economic, spiritual, and intellectual. The foundation is the intellectual center of the sect, its version of a university. Its best theological scholars construct and maintain the tradition itself, updating the timeless truths and paving them into the educational path from infant to professor. Sounds like the shaman. While the doctrine of a section needs not be completely standard, any doctrinal variations must be so small that no one feels the need to fight over them. Nor can a foundation limit itself to its own theology. Keeping a section's top minds within their own faith is a core concern. They can always drop out to be armigers, which is generally bad for them, bad for their section, and bad for Columbia itself. So the Foundation must concentrate excellence in every scholarly and technical field, joining with doctrinal cousins, where its section is too small to staff a department. A sect too small to have its own medical school is too small to have its own doctors. So why is it too small to exist? Of course, a foundation maintains its own continuously updated historical narrative, or news. All of the yeomen in a section see past and present as the Foundation sees them. Yeomen have social media, the web, and Wikipedia, but online pals are within their own tradition. The Foundation filters the web and filters and forks their Wikipedia. Their internet is just a tool, not the vehicle through which Satan enters the world. Satanic panic.
Wait, so is the book saying that internet is Satanism?
Well, no, it's saying it's basically the mentality of like you don't want the traditional individuals to interact too much with cosmopolitan individuals because you want them to remain as traditional individuals.
In short, you basically want to keep them from going into the whole purity spiral of anything new is bad and is the work of Satan and it should all burn.
Well, that's kind of it, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like it's the mentality that, you know what I mean? Well, we're about to cover it here in a second, but basically it's the mentality of you don't want your yeomen, your traditional individuals to become cosmopolitan, right? Because like that's not a positive way for them to live and remain inside of a stable society, a stable village. You know what I mean? Like, and if individuals are intelligent, because we went through this yesterday with neuro and shit, right? If individuals are intelligent, you know what I'm saying, you put them into jobs that require intelligence and scholarly work. Or if they're already when you notice when they're teenagers, you know, they're more open, more progressive, more, you know what I mean, of the mental type that want to be cosmopolitan, you send them to go be cosmopolitan people. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's a hard line type of thing where you're always going to be this. But what up? What up?
I think Steele is he's hot micing.
Oh,
gotcha.
Oh, sorry.
Do you think audio, like breathing or something, just got picked up by his mic?
It's hot micing.
Gotcha.
Wait,
Anyway,
sorry, someone just
sorry.
walked past.
Sorry. May I request
Anyway,
that
as you were
someone?
saying.
Oh,
go ahead,
sorry.
Hans.
May I request that someone basically like remind me when the topic is done and it's like a free round because I actually had a question I wanted to ask.
You got a question? Go ahead, man.
Yo,
ask your question. We're stopped at the moment. Ask your question.
It just doesn't seem like the kind of topic. Let me get the text I had because I forgot what it was mostly.
It was that question I read because I
Oh,
didn't
you
go
wrote
over
it.
it.
Yeah.
I read it. I just found the stage chat and I've been keeping an eye on it.
Yeah. It was mostly like it was mostly moral views on that kind of moral dilemma. Like it's kind of like the trolley situation. Like if you get the mentality that humans are expendable and replaceable as long as the populace is fed and surviving, is that moral?
Well, like again, like I'll address this. Like the mentality is that this. So basically, what we're doing is we're separating individuals into the cultural regions that they're supposed to be. You probably haven't heard a lot of my content before, so I'm gonna explain my mentalities. The reasons why the Middle East is in such a fucking clusterfuck is because of the fact that, like, we have countries drawn up that shouldn't be countries, right? Like Iraq shouldn't be a country. It should be 3 countries. Syria shouldn't be a country. It should be 2 countries, right? Libya shouldn't be a country. It should be 3 countries, right? And these mentalities, because like they have different cultural regions and different people living inside of them, and having these individuals there trying to form a cohesive government that's compromising with each other, it's extremely difficult when, like, for millennia, right, these individuals have stood here and been separated until recently in the past 100 years. And it's the same way with America. Like geography matters, right? Like I'm an Appalachian, right? Like I live in the mountains. So I have a whole different culture than you do, or somebody else who lives in California or lives in New York or lives in Florida, right? And each of these places should be divided to the point where they are feeding themselves and taking care of themselves. And so that they can stand here and not be replaceable and not be expendable. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Short answer is that we don't find it to be morally we don't find it to be moral that people should be replaceable. The idea is that every location should be self-sustainable.
Yes. Right. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about
The
moving.
mentality I was
Yeah, go ahead.
mentality I was going with is workers should be separated from populace, as in the working class is more so the providers, and they get provided other things by their employers. And so the self-sustained workers are sustained by the employers who pay them, so they may buy things.
Right. But I mean, like, imagine.
But at the same time, the workers should be seen as replaceable or expendable, seeing as how the populace stays working.
The answer to that would be that the answer would be to that is effectively no. It's not considered moral.
No, it's not. It's not a moral mentality, right? Like, the moral mentality is that you should know the people who your food comes from, right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, yo, like if, all right, say like if one of your neighbors, you know what I'm saying, like had like a bunch of land and they grew tomatoes on it, right? And you literally just bought tomatoes from your neighbor, right?
Yep.
Like that would be a much better situation than you going to the store and buying tomatoes that came from Venezuela or Costa Rica or California or whatever it is, right? Because
indeed,
yeah, you know what I mean, and that's the mentality that we're trying to move back towards. Get what I'm saying? And like, of course, like you would still have the opportunity, like if there was a bad harvest or flood or a tornado that ripped everything up, you know what I mean, or like some type of natural disaster or whatever, right? That would be dealt with, you know what I mean, as far as like emergency shit was concerned. But you wouldn't have to stand here and have the mentality of, you know what I mean, that being the norm. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And things might cost a little more, right? But on the same point, like it would all kind of even out. What is the price, you know what I'm saying, of you not having, you know what I'm saying, major health issues later in life because you've been eating industrial productive garbage your whole life?
You do get what you pay for, like locally grown vegetables without that they haven't used gas on as a pesticide. It's a lot healthier. You do get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, small increase in price is worth the health benefits.
Yeah.
The problem is white bread to me, very tasty, but it's so bad for you.
I feel you.
Wait, like Walmart white bread?
Yeah, like white bread. It's basically
That
super processed bread.
There's something wrong with your mouth if you like that. Honestly, I'd get that checked out.
All right. Well, let me
check out your mouth. Come closer and let me test your mouth with my tongue.
Let me. Whoa. Easy.
Oh no.
Right. Yeah, let me say this. Right. Like let me say this. Like legitimately. Like yesterday I stopped on the way up stopped on the way up to go get my kids. You know what I'm saying? And I literally pulled over and stopped at a local stand and bought, you know what I mean, like 2 bags of fucking sweet corn, you know what I mean, off a local farmer, right? Like
Yummy.
Yeah, I do this shit all the time. Like I get neighbors from my tomatoes, or I get neighbors from the tomatoes. Right? I get tomatoes from my neighbors. I get, right? I get, you know what I mean, like all types of, like I get fucking celery from people down the block. I get fucking cucumbers from the Amish motherfuckers and shit, right? I get pumpkins from my next door neighbor. Like these are all type of things, you know what I'm saying? Like I do, like we have local food grown here. And on top of that, most of the stuff in Walmart around here is actually locally grown because of the fact that, you know, we have such a large agricultural production around here.
Usually a Walmart looks for like ways to get around like large shipping costs and shit. So if they got like a Walmart in a rural area, it's just cheaper for them just to buy fucking local stuff.
And believe it or not, Walmart really likes local small fucking farms. Like they really, really do. But the problem is like just having somebody from, I don't know, fucking Chicago or, you know what I mean, like fucking Indiana or whatever it is. These yuppies who really like garbage food demand it. And that's fucking a pain in the ass for the rest of us who don't eat that shit, you know. But like our Walmart sells Scrapple, for instance.
What's that?
What the hell is Scrapple?
Scrapple, it's a PA delicacy. It's like pig face and cumin and cinnamon and
Oh, that head cheese stuff.
yeah, it's fucking bomb. Fry it up for breakfast and shit. It's amazing, right? But again, like Walmart carries it, right?
Yeah,
Walmart
still got no clue.
Walmart carries, you know what I'm saying, Turkey Hill iced tea, right? And things that y'all don't have in your neck of the woods as a whole, right? Because again, like they serve the local community and people are really like that. And we like motherfuckers will go out of business that they don't sell local shit. That's why Subway has a hard time getting a foothold here. You know. Anyway, Leo, let's keep rocking and shit, all right?
All right.
Let's go.
Should any intellectual contact between yeomen and armigers even exist? It should, but it should not be general and routine. Rather, it should exist only at the highest level of scholarship, works of science, or learning of true objective value. Even art is properly private to the sect. While armigers cannot be harmed by yeoman art, the converse is not the case, nor should the yeoman learn to cater to armiger tastes. Economic independence is critical attribute of a healthy sect. A section that spends more money than it earns becomes literally independent on whatever power fills the gap. So a regime that subsidized an insolvent sect is paying to ruin its own human asset. At most, your regime should restructure economically weak sections with large one-time grants, giving them a limited and realistic runway to sustainable independence. Blah. One way to both measure and enforce economic independence is sectional currency. If the currency floats and its trade deficit has a zero floor set by import certificates, the market reacts to sectional weakness by making imports arbitrarily expensive, where an import means spending outside the section. A yeoman's money just goes farther when he buys products made by a brother from a store owned by a brother. This automatic mechanism makes a weak section stronger by increasing its cohesion. Finally, no regime can tolerate a sect that cannot peacefully share physical space with the rest of society. Damages within a sect are policed by the sect. Damages against an individual of one sect by an individual of another do not create a grievance between two individuals, but between the two sections. Your power must intervene if these damages go unredressed, and especially if they start to look like pattern of predation. Sounds like that meme I saw of the intergalactic interventional forces. It was a pretty neat short story. As for your regime, the postmodern bureaucrats in the cultural department, whose job it is to both establish and maintain the system, ideally in the same cynical yet humane Machiavellian spirit in which we have described it, will have nothing to do in theory and everything to do in practice. Their system is to keep the system working as specified. Now, their job. The machine is designed so that its operating incentives match its original intent, but nothing ever works perfectly forever and by itself. Exceptional power is always needed. Finally, if this yeoman pattern of governments seems weird, it is because you are weird. Ouch, personal shot. Such a religious dictatorship is a normal pattern of government across the world and time, besides the last 2 centuries in the Western and Westernized in the world. Even in Shakespeare's London, everyone was required to check in at the church once a week, to say nothing of Scarlet Letter era in New England. That said, the distinction between armiger and yeoman is a subtle one that must be flexible. These are anything but 2 separate species. There are genetic patterns, but nothing anywhere near strong enough to be individually predicative. Plenty of people will inevitably be moving across the border, which is no reason to weaken this border. Armigers become yeomen typically in middle age, because they decide that living within the pattern of an old tradition is more pleasant, productive, and meaningful. Yeomen become armigers typically as teenagers, because living within the pattern of an old tradition is utterly incompatible with being the people who they think they are. In net human capital, your regime always gains when the armigers convert to a tradition and always loses when yeomen drop out of their tradition. But mandating the former or prohibiting the latter would, of course, defeat the whole purpose of the regulation. The Amish certainly do not need a law that requires their children to remain Amish.
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying? Like, yo, this isn't like a, this isn't like a mentality of where, they sat here. And this isn't like a mentality of like, just like a totalitarian state, right? There's no real law about this. It's a mentality that this is what we want to have happen. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it gets down to. You know what I mean?
Lazarus. Oh, I get it. Okay. All right. The deracinated Lazari.
Lazari. It's Lazari.
Lazari.
There we
I'll
go.
get it.
Let's rock.
Yeah. All right. But actually, armigers and yeomen are lame. The best Colombians are the Lazuri because they live their lives the most intensely. The Lazuri are the realest people, but they are still kind of a problem. There are places in the United States you wouldn't go because of the Lazuri. This is not just a thing in any properly governed country. Still, I'm not getting this word. Deracinated, racinated.
Deracinated.
Yeah, deracinated. I'm getting it.
You're good.
Deracinated is from the French word for uprooted. Root is racine. Lazari is the old name for the Jesus, I can't even get this right. Neapolitan underclass in the Bourbon area.
Bourbon.
In the Bourbon area.
There you go.
Marx's lumpen proletariat. To the aristocratic observers of this underworld seems neither dead nor alive, hence Lazarus. The Lazuri are the only people whose only real social structures are informal or even illegal. Most estimates suggest that there are between 1 and 2 million gang members in the U.S. Whatever this label means exactly, and that varies, just about all these people must be Lazuri, and so are probably most of their families as well. As with armigers and yeomen, there are Lazuri descended from every continental human population. Unlike the Oedipus gang of the warriors, their social structures are monoethnic. The project of the new regime is rerouting the Lazuri, turning them back into yeomen. The project of the old regime was turning them into armigers. The project of the old regime was turning everyone into armigers. Yeomen by bullying, Lazuri by coaxing, and both by recruiting. The recruiting worked as an asset-stripping program. If its intent was to remove the best talent from the community, it succeeded handsomely. The bullying and coaxing, not so much. We can judge the plausibility of ennobling Lazuri en masse by the level of energy and engagement invested in this project across the last century and a half. Why do I feel like it's talking about the welfare state?
All right, guys. Well, it's been great, but I'm going to go now.
All right, my brother. Thank you for coming.
Have a pleasure.
In contrast, the logic of indirect rule makes it straightforward to reroute the old Lazuri, though deracinated. All Lazuri still have familial, cultural, or at least ethnic ties to some intact community. Okay, this sounds more like mafia, actually. Granted that this community's social control over the Lazuri gives it the spiritual and temporal power to resocialize them as healthy yeomen. You also inherit a prison system packed with Lazuri. Most of these people are genuine psychos who should never again set eye on the unbarred sun. Most are psychologically normal human beings whose only real offense was just being Lazuri. For anyone in a criminal culture, criminal activity is normal behavior. Like, duh. So it should be easy to rescue these normal people from mass incarceration. They really are, in a sense, prisoners of war. And that war is, of course, over. Given effective tools of social control, it is much cheaper, better, and fairer to control normal human beings socially in their community than physically in some giant POW camp. It is hard to be a gangbanger if your reverend tracks your location, assigns you a job, manages your piss, and monitors your cash flow.
See what I'm saying about like how like this is not like a system of like totalitarianism. It's more like, a system of what you're basically giving these individuals a mentor or a father figure to, really go to as far as shit's really concerned, and putting somebody who's honorable and decent into, the piece of the part of society that's important and at the center of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There are only two problems with this rerouting. The first and most important is that it is so easy that it could work too well, ruining the best things about the Lazari. Each stratum has a legitimate claim to human superiority, which must be fully respected. The Dionysian and Homeric nature of the deracinated culture is not an inherent problem. It is a problem when human lives burn up in addiction and vice. It is a problem when stray bullets fly out into the night and murk random civilians. But ecstasy and violence are both essential elements of the human experience, and they exist at their fullest in the deracinated underclasses. Racinated. I gotta remember, that's a long A.
I gotta say, hold up. We gotta say what up, Naviston and DJ Ronnie G is in the chat. What up, my brothers? Make sure you motherfucking hit that link to join this motherfucking Discord and shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, these people, you know what I mean, giving us a platform, and you know what I mean, like, how do I put this? You know what I'm saying? Working with us, and we're looking forward to working with them, and we're gonna go back and forth, helping each other out and doing things, and you know, like, yo, for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like, join this shit. We're gonna get it done. You know what I mean? It's kind of important. Anyway, you'll keep rocking. I'm sorry, my brother.
All right. No one really reading this actually despises gangbangers for being gangbangers. If we didn't admire professional outlaws, we wouldn't consume so much content about them. Not wrong. If Lazari are to become yeomen, these elements cannot be suppressed or ignored. It is enough to ask these people to live in a structured way. It is too much to ask for them to live in a drab, boring, or sterile way. There must be a place for well-controlled ecstasy and violence in every human stratum. Armigers certainly need it too, and even boring yeomen know the biblical Jesus could party like a fiend and praised edged weapons.
Jesus Christ was not a bitch.
He was a gangster.
Like, yo.
Whoa, Tom. Whoa, Tom. Remember, we can't use that word.
Yo, look, man. Wasn't a hard R, motherfucker.
Oh, God, it still counts.
I feel you.
All right. The second problem is that yeomen are inherently sedentary, and the human populations are not deeply selected by the agricultural revolution, may be poorly adapted to any kind of sedentary existence. These populations can only express their potential by existing as nomadic
autochtons, man. Autochtons.
It's auto that's throwing me off. I got to think of it as just autochtons. I got to delete this AUT from it and just think of it like that. Autochtons. Essentially as nomadic autochtons, hunter-gatherers essentially, otherwise they fail to thrive. Colombia does not currently have any autochton tribes, but down on the res, it has a lot of humans of recent autochtons descent, who are indeed failing to thrive. They seem to need more freedom and challenges than the agricultural adapt populations, probably because tending crops is boring as hell. This tedium becomes a test of your nerdy manlet ancestors past, which is why your teeth hardly fit in your puny jaw. But for those without the evolved search fletch to endure boredom, man has only alcohol. The paradox that while urbanized observers from Tactus to Fenmore Cooper too often for accident portray a more ancestral population as an inherently superior race of lords, pre-agricultural populations are like Italian race cars, specialized. They do very poorly except in their adaptive environment. Yes, this is probably a DNA thing. For the skull cowper buffs out there, domestication also decreases brain size in animals. Oof. Oof. I think this is what you're banging on about, Tom, when we're talking about that when we live like trash, we become trash.
Yo, look, I'm not joking with you. Like, I actually saw a podcast. It was on Joe Rogan. They were talking about like teeth size and jaw size and stuff, right? And they said like within like 2 generations, individuals who move from like being like eating ancestral food to the food that we eat right now, like people who come from like Africa or wherever, whatever, right? They stand here and actually their jaw shrinks and their teeth no longer fit inside of their mouth, and then they have to have their fucking those what are them things in the back of your mouth?
Molars.
They have to have their wisdom teeth removed.
Yeah,
it's not just living in like civilized society. It's the fact that most of the food we eat today doesn't really require being chewed. If you're eating nothing but meat and like raw vegetables, you're gonna have to chew a lot.
Yeah, it's something like 30% of your day.
It's a mix of malnourishment and bad diet.
All of the Neanderthal skulls had perfect fucking teeth and jaws.
Oh yeah. Well, that's because we eat bad food, a bunch of sugar and stuff.
See what I'm saying?
Right. It wasn't soft cakes or nothing. If you wanted something, you had to chew on a fucking root or something. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Really dig in there.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where like literally like the back of your fucking your mouth and your jaw itself ends up becoming fucked up. Like you're supposed to chew for like 30% of your day or some shit like that. And we don't do that anymore because like how processed our fucking food is. And again, I get back to we're not being good animals. Like, just that, like that whole mentality, like yo, this is what I'm saying. Like man, listen, everybody's like welfare, and I'm like yo, animals, right? Yo, we are animals. We poop, we pee, we breathe, we bleed. You know, we are animals. Like, yo, in the end of the day, Hans Schmidt had to.
We're either the prey or the predator.
Yeah. I can add to that a bit, Tom, if you want.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
We talked about a lot in my day-to-day job. But yeah, I'm an addiction counselor, but we talk a lot about brain and neurochemistry and all that. But in general, we have three parts of our brain. We got the lizard brain, the monkey brain, and then the human brain. And the human brain is by far the weakest and the easiest to succumb to everything. So that just kind of goes to the point that every time we feel like we're smart humans better than that, nope, even our brain knows that like the monkey and lizard brain always comes first. Anytime any of your brains contradict each other, the human always loses.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's kind of like that mentality. Like legit, we're just not being good humans, right? Like yo, a human being is an animal, the same as like an elephant or like a squirrel. Like it's an animal, and it requires a certain.
Squirrel!
Yeah. Like you know what I mean? Like yo, when you have an animal, like you're supposed to like treat it as that animal. It's supposed to have a diet, right? It has like certain things it requires, right? And if your family has been eating something for 3,000 years in the place where you came from, and then all of a sudden you switch up to eating tasty cakes and chocolate bars, you're probably going to end up running into a problem. That's my mentality. You know what I mean?
Dude, ancient humans used to be badasses.
Like yo, legitimately,
Look at us now.
like yo, the one thing that human beings actually have over the rest of the animal kingdom, and this is the honest to God truth, we as human beings are able to run longer than any animal on the planet, right? Legitimately, like how we used to hunt is we stood here and we would run an animal until its fucking heart exploded, right? And like, yeah, today there's literally almost no human beings left that can do this, right? And I'm not talking.
Okay, real talk right now. Real talk. My dog really just spent like half an hour growling because I got the sock he was trying to steal, just to drop it as soon as I lift it in the air from his jaw. This dude really spent the half hour acting so tough, just for me to grab him by the collar and have him instantly drop it.
I don't really know what that got to do with what we're doing at the moment, but like I like the fact that you over here taking care of your dog, right? But anyway, right? Like yeah, the mentality is like legitimately we are making ourselves worse animals, and making yourself a worse animal is not a positive way for your body to live because your body and your brain are connected, right? And like yo, when your body isn't doing well, your brain doesn't do well, and we had the largest brains of any animal in the entire world as percentage of like what I'm saying our body weight, and it requires a lot of.
He expects pets.
And we have it requires a lot of protein and a lot of like fucking calories in order to run that brain, and when you're not giving it, legitimately. You know what I'm saying? Like it fucks us up as a whole, and we're not living well as humans, right? But hold up, we got Mr. Mojo Rising wants to say something. Hold on a minute, so I can see if he comes to fucking. I don't know if he don't. I don't really care, but anyway, right? All right, looks like he's not coming. So like yo, ad hoc. Let's keep rocking, my brother.
All right, rocking and rolling. So unfortunately, as an authentic
autochthonous.
I gotta get this eventually. Autochthonous lifestyle demands a lot of land per human. Then again, Colombia has a lot of land per human. The idea that a state-sized prairie or forest eco park with humans as the apex predator, though fantastic, is not at all absurd. It is a small step in the principle of leaving uncontained autochthonous tribes alone, Sentinel Island style, to voluntarily restore an authentic ancestral culture. It is not a cheap or practical step, but it's the sort of thing that a really magnificent prince might try. And once again, quick derailment there. It's about Tom talking about getting us out of the cities and back onto the farms where we want to have kids instead of a small cardboard box, which we can barely fit in ourselves.
Right. Like again, this book is anybody who read Machiavelli, right, and read The Prince, you know what I'm saying, or read fucking The Art of War, or read the Discourses on Levy, right? Like the speaking from a macro sense of things is really, it's a beautiful way of standing here going like, yo, what can we do? You know what I mean? Like, what can we do physically? Like, what's possible? You know what I mean? Like, and just standing here having these mentalities, and this ain't utopian, right? This is still like building an artificial difficulty and like having individuals' lives still be tough, you know what I mean? Still be harder, right? But on the same point, it's making people live as people. And this is like, yo, it's a mentality of things. Like, and this isn't to say like, this is what I want to do, you know what I mean? But on the same point, it's a way of going, hey, look, let's have these type of conversations. And that's where my mental gets to, you know what I mean? Just wanted to put that out there.
All right, yep. Human rebel of the old regime. The old regime, as you may call, was very big on human rights. Yet its city streets were full of people living on the sidewalk like dogs. Some of those people had dogs. One felt for the people and the dogs. Something never did compute. One human right that you might extend to your subjects is the old... One human right that you might extend to your subjects is one the old regime might even admire, the right to tap out. Tapping out is surrendering in the hellish Nietzschean battle of atomized, hyper-capitalistic, meritocratic postmodern survival, a comprehensive personal declaration of social, financial, and or professional bankruptcy.
Yeah, that was really good, my brother. Like, yo, you almost made it the whole way through.
Sometimes you just gotta slow down. Tapping out means telling the government that your current life is not working for you. You would like to parachute out of it. You will go somewhere else, where a new life will be built for you. And until this process is complete, since you need it to succeed, you will do exactly as you are told, having, of course, surrendered. We can only guess at the number of Americans who would press this red button today, if it actually existed and worked. It is surely in 8 figures. It might be in 9. And that's just just as the sweet science knows both the knockout and the technical knockout, anyone who is living either in their car or on the goddamn street has technically surrendered. I mean,
you're not wrong.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
You're
but
not wrong.
I feel like I should personally dispute this just because I've been there. But again, he's not wrong, and I don't really have.
I mean, like, yo,
I want to argue, but I don't have one.
Yeah, if you had the chance to have somebody go, hey man, look, we'll give you a place and a new job and a better way of doing things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I would take that in a fucking heartbeat.
There you go, buddy. This is what we're talking about. Again, absolute public policy.
Yeah. I had to claw my way out of that pit by my own hand. By my own hand.
It is not
Nobody
fun.
came in and just
I was
gave me
homeless
that
for a
stuff.
couple years.
Yeah,
I've done it. You know.
Well, good you guys are here and not 6 feet under. Congratulations.
Well,
we made it out somehow.
I ain't a bitch. The fuck you talking about?
Right?
I think that's why I want to argue against this, is because I clawed my way out of this, and it doesn't feel like I surrendered even though I fell out there. Yeah, I had a bad spell, but I clawed my way back out. Maybe that's why I feel like arguing.
I feel you, but there's a lot of people that don't make it the fuck back out. Is the kind of mentality.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. That's where he's not wrong. All right, and what do you do with these people? It depends on who they are, of course. Some need indefinite care and or confinement. Some need to replace bad habits with good habits. Some need to be professionally retrained or even fully resocialized. To integrate them back into normal life, you need to actually understand what normal life is. These simple Colombian strata of armigers and yeomen, though they do correspond roughly to the American realities of blue and red, college and townie, etc., are Platonic ideals onto which the reality of a complex continent would have to be fit. But these ideals, we can start to imagine a picture of a normal life for everyone. In some cases, the reality is almost ideal. In other cases, a little Procrusteans, cutting and stretching seems unavoidable. And in many cases, the old regime has rotted the fabric of its old communities too much, leaving them solid in theory, but rubble in practice. Most of today's yeomen are not much like the Mormons or the Amish. A new regime has to face the fact that in some ways it is less repairing an old society than recreating it. All of its structures, new and old, must be reinforced and expanded to absorb and reintegrate all of the human rubble of the old regime's failed experiments, which will usually turn out to be even more failed than you expect. Anything which even looks intact is a treasure, but can still be expected to come apart in your hands. Every dog is a shelter dog. The practice of intentional disutility. Praxis. The practice. Praxis. Now that we have a rough sense of the different kinds of people in Colombia, we are ready to design an economy for them, using our new toolkit of artificial difficulty. There are two constraints on any design. First, it must be self-sufficient, meaning not needing an intentional trade deficit. Second, it must fulfill the basic material needs and ordinary human comforts of all Colombians. Beyond these unavoidable constraints, the purpose of an economic design is to create a landscape of difficulty that shapes your subjects into the best people they can be. Once you're committed to this project, you must ask exactly who these people are. Once you know who the people are, you must ask what jobs they should be doing. Once you know what jobs they should be doing, you must ask how your state power can bend the laws of nature to make the free market demand exactly these jobs. As the manager of a sovereign corporation, your job getting a little dried out here. Your job is to match labor demand and labor supply so that labor patterns maximize the value of your human capital. While your country is not a human farm and does not actually sell humans, any aesthetic sense of human worth, fulfillment, solace, or eudaimonia will track this hypothetical valuation, meaning that good government and good business are roughly parallel. There are plenty of Colombians who are pretty good at running a good business, so a new regime will not be as hard to staff and manage from scratch as some may think. I need a second to hydrate here.
I got you. Do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can kind of like discuss this a little bit. You know what I mean? Right. So, like, the mentality is that basically what you're doing is you're saying, hey, look, you know, we want, as Americans, we have a continent that literally, like, it feeds upon itself, right? Like, you can stand here and literally, like, lock America the whole way the fuck off, and you wouldn't harm Americans, right? You wouldn't stand here and have Americans, like, begging for goods. Because, like, you know, Americans can create their own shit. Like, we already do all the designs of, like, all the things that, like, we buy from fucking China or Taiwan or fucking Vietnam or Korea or whatever it is. But the problem is like, yo, we don't fucking build it because of the fact that, like, you know, it's cheaper to use their labor sometimes. I mean, to be honest with you, at this point, Mexico is literally cheaper labor than fucking China is. So the mentality is we're coming up on a level of where, like, we have to have this conversation about international trade and what it's like the fucking the deindustrialization and outsourcing of jobs, what it's done to, you know, I mean, the individuals inside of our country as a whole, right? Like, when you stand here, you look at Detroit and Chicago and fucking, you know, Pittsburgh, fucking Cleveland, Toledo, Columbus, all these places. They're fucking disaster areas. Look at West Virginia, Kentucky, right? Pennsylvania, Scranton, fucking Wilkes-Barre. All these places are just diabolically terrible because of international trade. And we don't have these conversations because we go, oh, well, it's good for the stock market, which is good for 401ks, and it's great for, you know what I mean, like the service sector. But the service sector doesn't really serve people the way, you know what I mean, like the industrial area did, and the way, you know, even before that, the agricultural fucking shit did. And all of these things and all these mentalities, you know what I mean, like, add up because, like, a lot of this shit wasn't even about free trade. Like, people think free trade's about capitalism. It's not, right? That's utter and complete bullshit that's been fed to you, you know what I mean, from a fucking system that these individuals who benefit off of it are, you know what I'm saying, making excuses for things. The truth is free trade was a goddamn fucking, it was a
state.
No. It was a fucking war policy. Right? It was a defense policy. It had nothing to do with capitalism. Right? It was a fucking defense policy. Because, like, all these individuals had an opportunity to stand here and basically sell anything into the American economy, which is the largest consumer base in the world, for free. right, and float all their goods across the world for free and not pay for any security whatsoever and get all their industrial imports for free, right? Like, yo, because the Americans guaranteed all the security of all your oil and all your fucking natural gas and all your fucking coal and all the things that went into the fucking, all the steel and everything, right, was all provided by America, right, in order for us to stand here and destroy the USSR. And the USSR doesn't exist anymore. So everything's up for grabs. And that's the mentality.
Can I address something?
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
I'm sorry if my English is not good because I'm not from English-speaking country.
You're not the first one I've translated for.
But I get it. I get the idea, and I totally agree with what Tom said about the critiques of, from the book towards the capitalist mentality that surrounding America. But I also interested in only one line that you already read. The book also wants to address the dualism way of thinking that really big in America. Like if you are not A, then you are B. Like you know,
I get what you're talking about.
Contradictionary rationality. Like A is not minus A. That's quite interesting for me. And the book try to be in the middle, like try to be a sub-contrary logic instead of contradiction. That's quite interesting. Thank you.
Oh yeah, totally. It's basically the book is trying to get you to take that middle ground.
Translate for me.
He's basically saying that he finds it interesting that in the United States we have this dichotomy. You're either one side or you're the other. And he finds it interesting that this book says we should try to work out the middle ground, seeing both black and white at the same time and measuring it from the gray.
Well, that's kind of the book is literally called Gray Mirror, right, for a modern day prince, right? It's basically you're taking the place of, you know what I mean, like I'm king of all these people and not just one side of them.
And also not only being in the middle ground, but able to see that A and minus A, let's say I'm using symbolic logic here, A and minus A are related to each other to create a new type of society. You know, if I can quote one terminology from Jacques Derrida, it's différance. When something that seen as contradiction, but on the back of that contradiction, you can see the relation between the two to create new meaning, new type of thinking, new society that more balanced, not on the far right, not on the far left, but totally in between and relational.
That's kind of the mental. You know what I mean? Like that's really what this is about. This is about literally like just going, hey, look, you know, like I don't want to stand here and like, and this has always been my mental. Like I'm not against one side or another. You know what I mean? Like I'm on my side. You know what I mean? Like I'm on, you know what I mean? Like my kid's side. I'm on my family side. Like so, like I don't really give a shit about like the red versus blue nonsense. I'm like, what's good for me, right? And so with this, it's taking if I'm king,
the best ideas and making something that actually works.
Yeah, if I'm king, this is what this is. If I'm king, you know what I mean, then like, you know, like I want to fucking be king of all these people and not just the red side or the blue side or whatever it is. And that's the mentality that we have right now. You know, that's what we're doing at the moment.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah, I mean, like, yo, if you like it, this dude has a Substack. You know what I'm saying? The Gray Mirror Substack. You should go subscribe. Legit, it's well worth the read. Also, there's a dude, what's his name? Skeptical Waves actually has audiobook versions of all of his essays and all the chapters of his book thus far. It's really good. You know what I mean? You should check it out. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the deal. And anybody coming in just to listen to this, as far as things are, like you're not like part of the Discord yet, make sure that, you know what I'm saying, like you're subbing to the Discord. You know what I mean? Like you're becoming a part of this, and you know what I mean, having an opportunity to like hear more conversations. Like I want to do this every Sunday night and try to grow this audience as far as shit's concerned. You know what I mean? So I think we're gonna do like in about another 10 minutes because it's been about 3 hours, and then we'll come back next week and finish this up. What do you think, Ad Hoc?
I think we
All
can
right.
handle that. I'm already lubed up and ready to go. Ooh.
Ooh, well, all right, let's slide it
All
in.
right.
Spicy.
So, bending the laws of nature. Natural reality shapes all the markets. Yet, the powers of free markets is great. So, when a state sets out to distort the free market, it should emulate a state of nature. It is hard to conquer nature, but easy to surrender to her. Power finds it hard to make things easy, but easy to make things hard. Technology restriction is the best way to distort labor markets because TR emulates a state of nature in which the restricted technology mysteriously fails to work. Sounds like gremlins. The more broadly we define technology, the more easily we can appreciate the metaphor. Mercantilism, for instance, works by disabling the technology of importing goods and services. As far as demand for your subject's labor is concerned, it matters not at all whether a product is imported or robot made. Either way, it was not directly worked for, which means you have lost the expected appreciation of the human capital from labor, unless the import was paid for by a labor demanding export product or the robot took thousands of hours of demanding hand assembly by an army of watchmakers. But of course, the literal purpose of both imports and robots is to replace human labor. So smash the robots, sink the container ships. Well, maybe. To beat the technology resource curse and the human catastrophe of mass uselessness, you need to create demand for both
Armigerous.
I almost said that. Armigerous labor and yeoman labor. Some of this labor supply overlaps, but most does not. So we'll consider the two strata separately. Exercising the yeoman. As we saw in the example of shovels versus spoons, appreciation of human capital from labor is highly dependent on the quality of the labor. Every man is different, and his ideal job has to fit him the way ideal boot fits his foot. Any good grade of boots has to be broken in. Over time, the boot molds to the foot. And the very finest, some say, do the reverse. Over time, the foot molds to the boot. Whether or not this is true, a man's ideal job molds him into the man he should be, which means it may feel like a poor fit at first. Bulk labor demand is easy to generate. Hire men to dig ditches and fill them in again. This is pure prison camp work. And any palpable, useless paperwork, David Graeber's bullshit jobs, is even worse. It isn't even a good excuse. Thank you for admitting that busy work is bullshit. What a man actually needs, if his work is to be for his own benefit, is meaningful labor that trains him to the highest level of skill in his strongest area of human potential, then stably and predictably rewards him for exercising that skill. Yes! Labor and work that makes you feel good when you get home at night.
See,
The
this is where we
backbone
was
of
heading.
artificial.
This is
Yep.
where we were heading.
The backbone of artificial difficulty is the conversion of economies from industrial to artisanal production. This conversation, which like anything can be overdone, can generate an arbitrary level of stable market demand for high-quality artisanal labor. While not every yeoman can be an artisan, not everyone is good with their hands, this kind of work can take care of a large percentage of the yeomanry. As for the capacity of artisanship to express human potential, the aristocratic English actor Daniel Day-Lewis took a year off his career to apprentice with a master Italian cobbler. Maybe this was just a publicity stunt, but if it wasn't real, it should have been. Everyone needs shoes, and all shoes wear out. If the only way boots for Colombia's feet can be made is by Colombian hands with natural Colombian materials and approved Colombian tools, and since it will never stop being the future, your boots, which will be 450, come with a raw making of video. Colombia will need a lot of cobblers. What are we doing here? We're restricting technology of importing shoes from Vietnam. We're shouting natives stamp them out of scrap leather and tire trimmings and giant coal-fired colonial-era steam presses, or whatever. It's hard to be sure where the shoes at DSW come from, but it doesn't involve Daniel Day-Lewis. And in return, everyone's shoe budget is taxed to support this new cobbler economy. Most of the yeomen in a section are not cobblers. By buying only traditional shoes, naturally, from yeomen of their own sect, they have to spend more on shoes, or buy fewer shoes, or both. I'm imagining trying to tell a yeoman woman to buy fewer shoes. I don't think that conversation would go well.
No.
This is a tax. Instead of buying human decay, it buys nice shoes. When we think of technology restriction, we usually think of regulations that prohibits new technologies. These regulations are mostly pernicious, which gives the TR a bad name among the thoughtful, but actually the technologies whose abolition can best restore these high-quality artisanal jobs are old technology, like steam-pressed upper soles. The first professions cancelled by the Industrial Revolution will be the first to return. Use cases for artificial difficulty abound in unglamorous areas such as construction, textiles, furniture, and agriculture. All these fields are full of restrictive potential for the degeneration of high-quality yeoman labor demand. All your regime needs to do is prohibit a certain industrial processes in certain fields, which is about as difficult or debatable as banning Harleys from the Tour de France. Essentially, you can create arbitrary high-quality labor demand by estifying arbitrary productive processes. Etsifying.
Etsy-fying, man. Like Etsy.
Etsy-fying.
Yeah.
Etsy-fying. The truth about the old blue-collar industrial jobs is that they sucked. The large amounted to serving as human robots, or human brains and steam-powered robots. While this kind of labor is not as dehumanizing as idleness, it is nowhere near as humanizing as turning out a sick pair of boots. Remedievalizing economic production by restructuring old technology can even solve two problems at once, both improving labor demand and reducing the productivity of an over-efficient sector. For example, maybe intercontinental travel and trade is doing fine, but only on wooden sailing ships. This classic example of absolutist public policy strikes a savage blow against globalism and recreates the kind of human being once called a sailor, rescuing a whole way of life from history's grave. Is it too extreme? Or is it too extreme? Maybe it's too extreme, but that'll be up to you, buddy. Not everyone is handy or fit. Many others can be small businessmen. Another way to increase the quality and quantity of labor demand is to disrupt large formula or franchise businesses. Perhaps no store can be too big. Perhaps no one can own more than one store or restaurant. Perhaps the internet shopping is a crime against humanity. You get the picture. You know, that actually makes an interesting thing. If we banned McDonald's from basically pulling a Starbucks approach, we'd have a lot more small town run restaurants with better service quality and food.
Here's the weird thing.
Well,
And I say this all the time. We don't really have that problem. We have tons of fucking homegrown. We don't eat McDonald's and Burger King unless like you're some fucking yuppie piece of shit.
Well, look, we did have a ton of small business restaurants until the lockdown came along and killed over half of them. The problem is not like
ours thrived. The fuck are you talking about? Ours thrived, dude. Legit. Mic check.
Hello.
Okay, still snake bounce. Ours thrived. I don't know why it is like everybody else is closed down. Ours were good.
It kind of really depends on it. You got a lot of places that didn't actually comply with the lockdowns and just said everybody should be locked down, but didn't really enforce them, so people kept going around there. But then you had other places like New York and California that were literally, just shy of doing what China was doing and welding people into their homes.
Yeah,
those places definitely
we
suffered.
didn't really have that issue, like legit. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of my mentality. But all right, let's finish up this chapter. You know what I'm saying? Then we'll fucking have a small discussion, and then we'll hang it up. Yeah, that's where I'm at. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So the technology actually makes the problem of creating high-quality labor demand easier. Once you take that problem seriously, automation takes care of the low-quality work. Automation is better at dumber jobs anyway. The problem of economic management is the design of an economy whose labor demand matches your country's labor supply at a high-quality level for every worker. The more automated assistance this design has, the more interesting it will be, and the higher quality of labor it should demand, as it produces a higher quality of product. Perhaps what will shock our great-grandchildren most about the present when they look at grainy old 2D videos of us is just how badly dressed everyone is. All right, exercising the armigers. Scientists agree Colombia has too many armigers. What do you do with them? They're just standing there, dusted with their drywall, with the drywall of their institutes. They are in many ways excellent and useful. They are in many ways excellent and useful people. Got to slow down. But you cannot just use them, not as is. Nor can you cull the armigers like some surfeit of Kenyan elephants, nor re-educate them, a la Mao. You might barely get away with deporting them, but exiling any governing caste is always a weak move for a prince, and it often returns to bite you. And what does a prince have to fear from armigers? What are they, ninjas? There are more armigers than there are Lazari. The armigers are meaner, and the Lazari are more physical. Both are all just good people on the inside, and the best way to deal with them is to let them know straight up that, you know what, strap some extra confidence on your hip and don't lose track of the way to the door. You want to be Augustus, not Caesar. Since they are all just good people on the inside, you can conquer them in the cruelest possible way, by governing them better than they imagine they could be governed. While armigers are totally prepared to be persecuted, they are quite unprepared to be ignored, and even less prepared to be supported and cultivated as they should be. As humans, this is ideal for them, but as players, it cuts them off savagely by the knees. You know, he's not wrong here.
That's why I like this writing.
I was taken completely by surprise to that, since I'm apparently of this class.
The
armigers cannot...
are not of this class.
Oh, dear.
You're not. You're just like, you... Again, like when he said the yeomanry has been left in a very armiger state. You know what I mean? That's the mental. That's where you are. Like, you have a lot of those mentalities, but you are not part of them, and you fucking know it. You're legit. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. The armigers cannot continue in the new regime as a ruling class. The essence of the armigerous oligarchy is the validity of one's credentials. While they worked hard for those credentials, any education or experience is contaminated by the principles of the old regime is more than useless to any new regime. Hot mic! These are now negative credentials. Their fundamental worth was their legitimacy, now withdrawn by the laws of Brennus. This means you cannot use unreconstructed armigers in your civil or public service. Previous experience is not qualifying, but disqualifying. You'll have to make do with yeomen and a sprinkle of dissidents. This is more or less fine, but it leaves a huge number of very talented people standing on the sidelines. And the regime was more than just its staff. It provided a sense of purpose for the whole cosmopolitan stratum. Any plan for these people is a recovery plan. Yesterday, his armiger's sense of purpose was fully engaged with the narrative of the old regime, fully committed to its issues. Today, the whole story is unveiled as a sham, like the workers and peasants. He could care about a new sect of issues, but now he knows no one cares about what he cares about. Now he knows no one cares what he... Yeah. The effect of a regime change on a governing stratum after the fall of the Eastern Bloc is a sort of hangover, a devastating, involuntary, and irreversible political sobriety. Somehow, you have to nurse these excellent neurotics back to personal, professional, and even spiritual health, even without forcing them to believe in a god. Some may, of course. Many armigers are armigers because the old regime pressured them into that status. Of course, some might be happier spiritually as traditionalists, personally as villagers, and or professionally as artisans. Again, there's nothing even slightly wrong with a cosmopolitan artisan. The armiger's cosmopolitan doctrine even has a religious origin. It is Unitarianism, basically. It is not at all difficult to see the body of average armigers recommunalizing themselves as yeomen without major changes in their perspective, habits, or beliefs, under some such very armiger-like brand. They are hardly opposed to the community, and there's nothing wrong with their beliefs, so long as they do not hold or covet power. What can make the most ordinary armigers into yeomen is just the enormous social advantages of living in coherent, self-governing communities. It is true that most hippie communes did not really succeed. Most hippie communes did not have the government on their side, though. Many armigers remember college as the best time of their lives, because it is the only time they got to live in a structured community. Second best is often Burning Man, another armiger-only community. I do not know that reference.
Well, all right. So, like, Burning Man is basically a bunch of rich white people in the desert.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah. Like, yo, legit, yo, Burning Man is whiter than like any Klan meeting you'll ever go to. Yo, what up?
Sounds kinky. I should probably investigate this for research purposes. I'm a member of the science team, people! Alright, I'm gonna finish this off. Also, everything bad about armigers is the result of corrupting them with power. Power corrupts, absolutely. But of course, there is no community in which knows more living. There is no community which knows more about living well. Separating this whole stratum from power leaves its whole job as living well, if that can pay the bills. This is not a way to erase the armiger stratum. You do not want to erase the stratum. Not everyone should become an armiger. But once you have boiled off the ordinary armigers who should have been yeomen all along, not quickly, since this must be voluntary, the extraordinary ones are left. These people are few, but unfortunately, quite important. Up until a century ago, before they started guiding the regime, American colleges were no more than finishing schools for a tiny aristocracy. Like most aristocracies, past and present, the old American aristocracy was very uneven. The next elite will hopefully be less uneven, but the hereditary principle can never be completely lost and will always serve up dunces. Just as many geniuses are born to ordinary, non-aristocratic families. There is often a reason to promote the latter, but rarely a reason to demote the former. The skull capture scientists will just have to keep working on their applied eugenics. We can be sure that in Colombia, there will always be a class of people whose purpose in life is truly cosmopolitan, atomized heroic self-actualization, and fewer there are who feign this purpose as a pose, the more important it is to protect the reality. You went to a gifted school, didn't you? Gosh, I hope so. You've read all these words. Where did all the gifted, talented kids end up? It's not for nothing that the armiger class below a certain age is sometimes called the precariat. Precariat. Yes. Proletariat, precariat. Ugh. Nor is that age consistent, even aside from all the people in bullshit jobs, plus all the people who think they are saving the world but really are just serving their own addictions to power and status. There is huge underemployment among Colombia's armigers, even the best one. I'm reminded of a webcomic where a sister is yelling at her brother, "The world doesn't need genius-level ditch diggers, Ed!"
Not wrong. Not wrong.
And I also just all these activists. Okay, gotta finish. Almost there. Roughly speaking, there are three kinds of gifted kids: artistic, scholarly, and technical. Colombia's armigers are priestly caste, not a martial caste, so athletic or leadership ability is no more than a happy accident. At least it is not a very rare accident. Let's think about what work you should create for these kind of people. The difference between scholarship and technology is that technology is applied. Power rarely needs to create jobs for engineers. There is only one way to create power. There's only one way for power to create jobs for scholars: fund them. Employing the right number of these kinds of people in the right tasks is a difficult problem in detail, but not in principle. This leaves only one class of armiger to support with our diseconomic toolkit: artists. Art is very important. Art is the principal talent of enormous numbers of people, and art is very hard to fund and support. Of course, artists can be subsidized, but subsidies are particularly awful for art. The best way to fund art is a durable and exclusive patron-client relationship. The second best way to fund art is to sell it. The worst way to fund art is to impress a grant committee. You'll get bad art and worse artists. The 21st century art market, even core content types like writing, music, and film, suffers from an enormous tournament economy problem, in which most of the returns accrue to a small number of global winners. While this may be optimal for art consumers, it is lousy for art producers, since it means that most artists have to end up as losers, even if they are only slightly less lucky or talented than the winners. Oof, ain't that the damn truth. In the old days, badly shaped markets like this were just seen as fate's hand. Hasn't it always sucked to be an artist? Shouldn't it suck? Everyone would want to do it. This is a strong argument, but it just doesn't fit well with the ethos of your new regime. One way to tackle the problem with artificial difficulty is to impose arbitrary controls on transportation of copyrighted content. So, for example, it might be very expensive and difficult to import films into Montana. So, Montanans, unless they wanted to pay $200 to watch an out of state movie, would have to settle for Montana film. Over time, this restriction might even cause development into a distinctive Montana culture. But more important, at least from Montana's perspective, it would ensure that people who grew up with essential life purpose of making movies can stay in Montana. Canadians and Frenchmen are familiar with this model, not especially well done, because this sort of thing cannot be done both well and superficially. To imagine Montana culture is to imagine that there is such a thing as a Montana armiger, specifically Montanan path to human self-actualization. The yeomen of Montana, its cowboys and roughnecks, may even retain their provincial accents. The armigers of Montana are the citizens of the world. They might as well be from Paris. What is Montana to them? A beautiful, low-tax Airbnb, a set of GPS coordinates. Any prince who dreams of reversing this process, even for Colombia, even for Canada or France, let alone Montana, had better be packing some big dreams. But how else can you do these armigers justice? How can you end tournament economies and culture? How can you divide a world culture into its old disconnected geographical pieces? One of history's clearest patterns is that the arts and science flourish in periods of divided and contested sovereignty, but stagnate under political peace and unity. At least half of civilization was invented in some Greek or Italian city-state. Even China, unified for 2 millennia, owes most of its classics to the Warring States period. History has no stronger lesson than humanity thrives best when well divided. In each of these little Greek city-states, there were actors and poets and musicians and playwrights, who weren't like, I may be big in Mislis, but I'm still not big till I've made it in Athens. Eventually, that did change, but centralization spelled the death of Greek cities, later of the Hellenistic world, and in the end, all of antiquity. In some ways, the Mediterranean has never recovered from the rise of the Roman Empire, from whose barbarian-haunted ruins sprang yet another polycentric order, Old Europe. Along with came the printing press, the telegraph, the railroad, the jet, and the internet, hot war and cold war. And now, even the continent's old languages are beginning to fade. If culturally and politically unifying the Mediterranean, once a thriving decentralized network of politically and culturally independent city-states, creates a polymillennial continental disaster, what would unifying the planet do? What has it already done? What has science done, Tom? What has it done?
Yo, look, man. You know, my mentality has always been that I think human civilization and human beings should be a tapestry, not a melting pot. I like it when other individuals have their own shit, and I like it that I have my own shit. And everybody should be able to live in a way that motherfucking makes them happiest. That's always been my mentality. And I hate seeing things disappear. Languages and cultures and people, when they disappear, are fucking tragic. Like, real shit. It's literally like the extinction of an animal. It's like, fuck, dude. Like, there ain't nobody who, like, there's literally like nomads in the fucking Middle East and Africa that are disappearing every fucking day. And people have no idea about it. And it's a tragedy that they do. You know what I mean? Because you can't go back and get them. You know what I mean? This is kind of where I'm at. Like, yo, fucking, we got to make a decision whether we want to continue to become the same, or whether we want to stand here and, you know what I mean, have an opportunity to kind of like save some culture and really have a chance to be actual human beings. You know what I mean? Let's keep rocking, though. We'll finish this up.
All right. Yep, almost there. So, imagining this process, roll back, recreating geographically paraculture, it's quite a different thing from local grants for the arts. Though it's true, employ more local artists, but we are not trying to imagine more bureaucratic ditch digging. Since it is technology that has globalized us by making travel and communication fast and cheap, it is hard to imagine cultural deglobalization without artificial difficulty. Literally, this means cutting the wires, grounding the planes, and breaking all the ships, all to replace one insipid and uniform global armature culture with hundreds or even thousands of proud, pugnacious local elites, each gloriously different from the next. These relocalized armigers might even identify more strongly with their local yeomen than with their former comrades in the global ruling class, whom they can no longer text anyway. The packets don't go through, the wires have been cut. They would visit, but they can't get a ticket. All this for the arts? Well, not just for the arts. But are the arts this important? Some think so, don't they? Armiger is certainly supposed to think so, in case you are one. And when we think about an absolute public policy in which sovereignty is assured and everything is impossible, this is the scale on which we must think, or at least dream. The return of the absolute. Well, that's been an imaginative excursion into the impossible, but politics is the art of the possible, isn't it? We still have a lot to learn from dogs, but for dogs, the possible is known. There are some things you can get a dog to do and some things you can't. For humans, that line is never entirely clear. Most people who envision political change see the motive force behind it as collective will and virtue, for some as signaling, for some as in the Roman concept of virtuous. Ugh, virtue signaling. These two very different virtue curves are trending up and down respectively, creating hope and despair respectively. But collective will is always trending down, so even the hope comes out tempered by realism. So this possible is not much of a possible. But we can imagine a political change fueled by neither sturdy pioneer virtues nor by healthy progressive consciousness. Both these visions share one ingredient: sincerity. They consist entirely of pre-ironic, unimaginative 20th century sentiments. Indeed, much of their rhetoric is literally 100 years old. If there's anything the 21st century is historically terrible at, it is sincerity. If there is anything the 21st century is historically amazing at, it is irony and imagination. If there is a different politics of the possible, maybe it can play more to our strengths. I was born in the Nixon administration and watched the Super Bowl every year as a kid. Sometimes there was an ironic commercial. Sometimes there were two. Now, is it 3/4 of them? I never saw a movie in 1960. I've seen movies made in 1960. Imagine showing a movie like Inception 2010 to a 1960 audience. They'd lose their minds. You'd have better luck with LSD. There has never been a public more ready for a dark politics of imagination, fueled not by positive Norman Rockwell's civic energy, but nihilistic and destructive whimsy. That positive energy is better than negative energy is a tautology, but politics is the art of possible. So, if you have to design an engine that works on the energy you have, somehow it has to turn frivolous modern anime into a substantive historical order. This is not an easy engineering problem. But what other problem matters more?
Hell yes.
Ah,
So,
made it.
That's, yo, man, listen. You know what I mean? Like, legit. I can't believe we went over this whole thing tonight. Like, that's fucking crazy to me. But I'll be real with you. Like, fucking, this is probably, like, my favorite chapter thus far in this book. You know what I mean? He has, like, chapter 6 and stuff, whatever. We're going to go through more of this stuff next week. We have other essays and things of this nature to break down. But what'd you think, my brother?
Oh my. Well, this is certainly a thought experiment into and of itself, because it kind of goes into the whole thing. It's what he's saying is correct. Like, everything that's here, you know, you're not going to be able to do this without any kind of substantial pushback. You're going to want people who's going to want the old cultures, the old ways, and everything else. Like, part of me likes where all this goes as far as the idea is concerned, but even then, you know, I'm concerned that maybe this isn't really.
What up?
I want to say I have doubts about this, but at the same time, I can't really see anything that causes me. It's like I'm looking at it and I'm seeing a good thing, but it's just I'm so jaded and cynical. I have to try and find a downside to it.
Right? I mean, like
I don't feel like I can trust it.
Wait, hold on.
It's too good to be true.
Let me unmute my boy. I apologize. I fucking had you muted this whole time. All right, still Snake. I'm sorry, man. Like, you was making a whole bunch of fucking noise, and I was like, yeah, I wanted to get through this. But yeah, like, I guess I still have hope, right? I'm still naive. You know what I mean? Like, I still had that whimsy in me. You know what I mean? Like, it still had that hope. I guess I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I still believe in Santa Claus. You know, that's kind of the mental as far as shit's concerned. Now, I'm still Snake. What'd you think, my brother? Is he here?
I mean, I'm too much of a pragmatist. I'm not really a fan of this. I mean, it is interesting, but I don't think that any of this is actually implementable, personally.
Well, the mentality is that like the proper way to use democracy is to change your government, right? Like either A, you stand here and you use democracy to elect like fucking like they did with FDR. Like FDR, they elected FDR, he's declared a fucking state of emergency and literally just changed the entire government, right? And you can do the same thing again. You know what I mean? Like you can elect somebody to be a fucking king in America, a dictator, you know what I mean, as it were, and he can just change things as he sees fit. You know, that's kind of the mentality as far as things is concerned. So like that's really
I
where
mean,
it is.
this is just my opinion, but I don't think I don't think we really have democracy, and I personally don't think we ever did. But that maybe I'm just being pessimistic, but I don't like I voted for things like nothing ever changes. That there's too much money. Like we can't vote our way out of this. We can try. People are trying right now, but I don't think that it will ever work.
I feel
But
where
that's
you are.
just my opinion.
I feel where you are. You know what I mean? But like on the same point, I believe it can work. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like I think, well, you can elect a dictator and just, you know what I'm saying, like have him like basically go like, yo, the Supreme Court ain't a thing anymore. I'm the living Constitution, and like this is what it is, right? But you have to have an overwhelming majority of individuals vote for that. You know what I mean? When people just stand here and like actually do that and vote for somebody who's going to be a real executive, you know what I mean? Like that's how that works. But as for right now, like I understand what you're saying. I'm waiting for the system to kind of fall apart, right? And then you know
Well,
what I mean? Like
for the
shit will
record,
change.
most of the most important decision makers in our world, the attorney general, the head of the head of the Federal Reserve, the Council on Foreign Relations, most of the very important decision makers are appointed. We can't even vote out most of the people who are doing us badly.
I feel you.
Like
Like yeah,
there
that's
isn't a way to vote our ourselves out of this.
that's
In
the
my opinion.
that's the managerial state. You know, what I mean, that's what FDR put in was a managerial
Mhm.
state. You know, what I'm saying it's a bureaucracy. This is why we're saying like this is an oligarchy that we live in. You know, what I mean, like most of the individuals who actually stand here and cause most of these problems are actually, you know, what I mean, like really, how do I put this? They're actually, you know what I'm saying, like unelected. So like you can't really sit here and change them in and out as far as shit's really concerned. So what you have to do is you have to like smash the entire institution at once. You know what I mean? You have to elect somebody who's willing to do that and elect them to do that and like let them have that power. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something we'll go over some more things, you know what I'm saying? Like we got a whole bunch of shit in this fucking, you know what I mean, this Substack and other shit to read, you know what I mean, as far as stuff's really concerned that we can break down and have conversations about. You know what I mean? But we got much more to do yet. You know what I mean? So in the meantime, yo, look, dude, it's the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? We done went through this whole chapter. Ad hoc, thank you for reading. Steel Snake, thank you for coming through. Thank you, everybody who came and joined in. Shroom Head, you know what I'm saying? Motherfucking Conk, everybody, you know what I mean? As far as stuff's concerned, it's appreciated. Everybody coming out and supporting things. Y'all know the deal.
Even that
Make sure
maniac
you.
who showed up here specifically just to try to argue with you, Tom.
Yo, look, man, midwits are midwits.
What, that piece of shit?
Yo, look,
Yeah.
man, the midwits are the foot soldiers of the fucking oligarchy. In the end of the day, right? They're people who want to stand here and go, well, let's talk about the definition and entomology of that word. Shut up, stupid.
I was sitting there trying to understand where he was coming from, and he kept trying to change up his definitions and what he was talking about, and it's like, while I'm trying to nail him down so I can understand his point so we can get it across, he keeps trying to evade me. I fucking hate that. I fucking hate when they do that. It's disgusting and dishonest.
I have no idea what his point was. Like at the end, he just devolved into screaming at you and calling you a faggot.
That was his end goal. That was all he was really after.
No. Like here's the mentality, right? The mentality is that like he wanted to stand here and go, well, define progressivism, and I go, I don't care about progressivism, and then his brain broke, right? Because he's like, shit, I don't know what the hell I'm arguing anymore. So that's what happened. Anyway, yo, look, man, I'm gonna hit.
I couldn't figure out.
Make sure you know what I'm saying. You come over to the Rhetoric Discord and join them. I'll be over here 3-4 days a week and get into it with these individuals. You can smack. Legit, I love smacking midwits around in here. It's amazing, right? Because they pop up constantly, right? And on top of that, you know what I'm saying. Make sure you sub to Pnoid News. You know that they'll hit that like, share, or hit that fucking subscribe bell. You know what I mean? Like this video, you know, hit that fucking bell and hit all, right? So you get all the notifications, all the content I drop. Make sure you go over to Ad Hoc channel. I make sure it's in the description. What the hell's your channel called?
It's just Graveyard Shift. Y'all can listen to me ramble about a bunch of bullshit and just and on my way trying to figure out ways through life. and just get into a bunch of random spats and nothing else at all.
Well, that's kind of the mental, you know what I'm saying? That's as far as stuff's concerned. Like, yo, make sure you go over there and sub the graveyard shift. And, you know what I mean? It is what it is anyway. Yo, look, I'm getting the fuck out of here. I'm going to hit stop recording. Peace be like one, motherfuckers. Later.